by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the third game of their four-game series against the Chicago Cubs. The series has been dominated so far by Mets pitching. In fact, they've given up just one run in the two games, and going back to Mike Pelfrey's start in Colorado, this pitching staff, this starting pitching staff, which is such a question going into the season, has been nothing short of extraordinary.
You know, it's probably really capped by the effort last night by Pelfrey. He was just outstanding. To watch him use his secondary pitches and then also include that great sinker and short ball that now he has. But it's not only been Pelfrey. Oliver Perez, who's pitching tonight, coming off a strong start. Of course, that 20-inning game, you kind of forget that Johan Santana started that game and threw 7 scoreless. So the Mets pitching is rounding up something that everyone thought was going to be a weakness, has proven to be a strength for them.
Meanwhile, Jose Reyes returned to action last night. As you look at the numbers for the Mets starters over those last 6 games, and Reyes returned to form last night, 4 hits after an 0 for 18 slump, and everything seemed to clear once Reyes hit that triple early in the game.
Well, we all know that when Jose hits in that leadoff spot, the Mets tend to win. And sure, this got him going right here. Sometimes that little dumper dork right there can get a hitter going. His next at bat, he triples into the left center field corner, and that gets the Mets the 2-run lead, and I think that ignited this ball club, and this is what he can do. He got another blooper here, and everything kind of fell his way. 4 for 5. He raised his average at 64 points up to 222. So he's off the interstate, and I think he's ready to go, and hopefully he's getting in the groove to ignite this club offensively.
Now, while the Mets have struggled in the middle of their batting order, the Cubs have probably struggled even more. The Cubs have also struggled with their bullpen, and they made major news today. Their ace right-hander, Carlos Zambrano, who started last night, is moving to the bullpen for Lou Piniella.
You know, Zambrano threw well last night's game, probably one of their better starts, but the key is their bullpen has struggled. They have Carlos Marmol down there as a real power arm. They're going to add Zambrano, who's got a nice power arm, maybe to give them a chance when Ted Lilly comes back on Saturday. They'll still have that strong rotation, but a better bullpen.
So Zambrano is new to the bullpen for the Cubs. Not new to the bullpen for the Mets is Frankie Rodriguez. He'll be talking to Kevin Burkhardt when we come back, waiting for the rains to stop at Citi Field. All the action, Mets and Cubs, coming up tonight on SNY.
not going to be available till Friday, which I found very interesting with a team that's 5-9.
The thing that I found fascinating about the Cubs' decision, and it makes sense because they need bullpen help and because the other guys are either young or hot or not really suited to the bullpen, but Zambrano was enthusiastic about it. And when was the last time you heard an elite starting pitcher make that move with no qualms? Maybe Brett Myers?
Yeah, Brett Myers did, but he went to the closer position. Not necessarily Zambrano's going to be the closer because Marmol is their closer.
I don't think he's very happy about it inside. That's my feeling.
You think he's putting up a front?
He's doing it to appear to be a gamer. Okay,
There's your fourth starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs. Third game of the series, third different cleanup hitter, Marlon Byrd, who at least is at a semi-hot bat for Chicago. Xavier Nady not in the lineup despite a lefty being on the mound because he's still trying to recover from his second Tommy John surgery, and that elbow is not quite up to snuff. In fact, they've got a left-hand batting right fielder, Tyler Colvin. No lefties had a hit against Oliver Perez yet this season.
Well, Oliver Perez had an up and down spring training, was working like Pelfrey on those secondary pitches. Hasn't got a win yet, but he's got that fine ERA. He went 6 1/3 in his last effort. Only gave up a run. In 2009, he only went 6 1/3 one time. So trying to build on that great start will be Oliver tonight.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metsi defense. Jason Bay is highlighted tonight. Well, how about that? No errors in the last 199 games. Gary, you and I had a conversation earlier today about how, and with Marty Noble, about how surprisingly quick Jason Bay is. He's a lot faster. I thought he wasn't a good fast runner. He gets good jumps on balls. He's a faster runner than you think. He's already got a triple here at Citi Field. He's playing a heck of a left field.
And we saw him make two fine plays yesterday, one coming in and to his left, and the other one going right toward that sidewall with that minimal amount of foul territory down in the left field corner. So the 199 games without an error. The only outfielder with a longer current streak right now is Randy Wynn, who's gone 215 games without making an error. There's Ike Davis getting set for his third big league game.
He might catch him because Randy Wynn not playing a lot of for the Yankees.
Well, Mike Pelfrey has set a tone. 19 consecutive scoreless innings. First pitcher in 22 years to get 2 wins as a starter 5 days apart with a save in between. He has hit quite a groove now.
How about Mike and his new buddy, Henry Blanco? They're like attached at the hip now. They've had so much success.
Jerry Manuel will not commit to putting Blanco in as Pelfrey's personal catcher. It'll be very interesting to see in Mike's next start on Sunday whether Blanco is behind the plate. Ryan Theriot getting set to get things started for the Cubs after a rain delay of about 25 minutes or so. It only rained very lightly and not for all that long, but just poorly timed in terms of starting the game on time. We might have another brief shower sometime during the evening, but we should be good to go to play straight through. Hey, we know them.
We are them.
Mets starting pitchers over the last 6 games have posted a 0.95 ERA, and now the ball's in Oliver Perez's hand to try and keep that fine streak going. The Cubs, meanwhile, have lost 4 straight games and scored a total of 6 runs in those 4 losses.
And I went over their wins and losses so far this year, and it's always going to be a little bit like this, but not this stark. Their 9 losses, they're just averaging 2.5 runs per game. 5 wins, over 6 runs a game. So the Cubbies are struggling right now, and as a pitcher, Perez tonight, you want to keep them in that mode.
So set to go after a rain delay of about 26 minutes. Ollie misses with the first pitch up and away for ball 1.
I'll say one thing about Ollie's last performance. He took a lot off his slider, Ron, and still had some late bite. He was tying up the right-hand Cardinal hitters all night. You see right now 2 fastballs, 86, 87, and that's lower than normal for him. He's been throwing, here's Ollie's numbers in his last start. He's been throwing 88, 89, but 86, 87 is a little alarming.
And now 88, so he's just getting loose.
Well, you know, Jerry was talking about it before the game. He said in talking to Dan Warthen and in talking to Randy Neiman, he said that the ball is starting to come out better and better out of Perez's hand, and so he believes at some point he'll be back over the 90s.
1-2 to Theriot, and the slider in for a call third strike. And Theriot down looking for the first out of the night.
Did he say he swung? Or do you call it a strike?
I call it a strike.
Wow, look at this. It's in the dirt. Sorry. It's over the plate, but it's low. He didn't swing. Who's it? That's Jeff Kellogg. That's a crew chief. Yeah, I'd tell him, get it up. Let's go.
I think Jeff feels as though after a 26-minute delay, it's time to get things rolling.
You say you might have been thrown right there after the first at bat.
Jeez, get it up.
Here's Jeff Baker, the number 2 hitter and second baseman, and he swings at the first pitch fastball, hits it off the right side, and Davis reaching and makes the tumbling grab. How about that? An unbelievable play by Ike Davis. Using all of his 6'4" to go over the railing, do the flip, and hang on. Now that, my friends, is something special.
The catch is wonderful, but watch this. I thought he could have a chance to get hurt, but look at this. I mean, he could have fallen over the bench. That's wonderful right there. But the recovery, and this might take 10 years, but we'll get there with this new slow-mo. What is it? What's it called? Ultra-mo? That's a great recovery. Great play. Nice play.
So a terrific second out in this opening inning, and now Derek Lee lines the first pitch up the middle, and he's got the first base hit of the night. Ball slowing down on that wet grass, and Lee stops at first base with a 2-out single. The Derek Lee, who had been 0 for his last 10, breaks out of that, and now Marlon Byrd, newly installed in the cleanup spot for the Cubs tonight. Byrd in the first game of the series hit leadoff, second game hit 5th, and now he's hitting 4th tonight.
It's like roulette in Vegas, just trying to put the chips putting Byrd where you think it's going to land, where the RBI opportunities are going to land.
Well, Piniella has not gotten yet to the pull the names out of a hat lineup, but that may be just a few days away if the Cubs don't get it going. And Byrd takes a first pitch fastball strike on the outside edge. Marlon 3 for 8 in this series, but he was blanked last night by Mike Pelfrey.
One pitch Oliver's going to have to be careful with is that slider to Byrd. He's a good breaking ball hitter and likes the ball down.
And I don't think we've seen this before with Ollie on the mound. David Wright playing as close to the line as he is against the right-hand batters, almost like he's working with a Tom Glavine type.
Yeah, great call, Gary. Keeping him close to the line because he's throwing more breaking balls, more apt to be pulled.
You think that was a great call by Gary? It was a good one, not a great one.
Okay. What a dude to Byrd. You're saying that he's
too much superlatives there.
Great inflation. That's what it is.
That's right.
Gary, a nice call. Gary.
Okay. It's an Ivy League problem.
Strong call.
Don't let it go to your head.
1-2 to Byrd, and he fouls it away. Ollie's never had much luck against the Cubs. 1-3 with an ERA of 5.5, and 9 home runs allowed in 42 innings against Chicago.
It's not a very lively bunch over there in Cubby Blue.
1-2, reached for and tapped slowly. Oliver with a quick toss and a nice stretch by Davis to end the inning. Not his greatest stretch of the inning. This was not just a super play, it was a super duper play. Fresh off his 4-hit game last night, Jose Reyes leads off the bottom of the first against Carlos Silva.
Well, Silva is a strike throwing machine, has not walked a batter so far this season. Averages less than 2 walks per 9 innings. Fastball, slider, changeup, and kind of traded for Milton Bradley. So Seattle and Chicago kind of swapped problems. Bradley more of a problem, Silva only because of his lack of good pitching in Seattle.
In fact, because of the difference in their salaries, the Mariners even threw in $9 million in that deal. So the Cubs got, so far, the better player and a whole lot of cash on top of it. Reyes fouls it back 2-2. But Silva had a terrible first year in Seattle. Last year, more of an injury-plagued season. As you look at the Mets starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Geico. Reyes coming off the 4-hit night last night. Right, Bay, Francoeur, Davis, the middle of the Mets batting order. Big-time problems last night. Slowly hit to third. And ranging wide, Ramirez to throw out Reyes for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on.
And Coors Light visiting Cubbies defense. You see Ryan Terrio 1 error in 13 games this season. He's a middle infielder. Okay. He's all right. He'll do.
You're a harsh critic tonight. Love it.
Here's Luis Castillo, who's riding a 7-game hitting streak. And 2 more hits in the game last night, and takes a strike on the inside edge from Silva. Castillo's got the average up to 279 and the on-base percentage up to 353 now.
For you Met fans in the 90s, Silva's a little bit like Rick Reed in the way he pitches. You know, pitches into the left-handers, little breaking ball, changes speeds well, and throws strikes.
And when he's at his best, he'll get a lot of ground balls. David Wright on deck. We first saw Silva with the Phillies as a relief pitcher in the middle of the decade. Then he went to Minnesota and learned a little along the way from Johan Santana. In fact, he credits with tightening up his changeup.
They worked with Santana, also worked with Rick Anderson over there, who's always had a great changeup when he pitched.
And there's a strike 3-2 to Castillo.
You have 2 similar pitchers here, both Ollie and Carlos Silva, both under 500 for their career, and have gotten huge contracts trying to live up to it.
Out to center field. Bird perfectly positioned for Castillo, and that's the second out. Well, it's true. I mean, the contracts of Silva's was 4 years and Ollie's was 3 years, but it was very similar money, and you know, both granted to pitchers who were right around 500 in their careers. And you know, in both cases, the first 2 years for Silva and the first year for Ollie with those big contracts did not go well at all.
Well, Silva this winter saw a sports psychologist who kind of told him that when you get your contract, you get paid for what you did before. They expect a lot more as you move along.
Oh, boy.
Good fastball by Silva. A 1-1 to Wright, who's just 3 for his last 25.
It's been a struggle for David. He looks a little bit baffled up there. We've all been there. They're going to pound him in.
Oh, comes inside and got him on the arm. And David will go to first base. And that one hurt.
They never feel good. Not when you get grades.
But you don't like anything in on the hands. That's always a scary proposition.
That's that wrist bone.
Is that hamate bone, I think they call it, Keith?
Oh, look at my hamate.
Yeah.
It's like a big dinosaur bone.
On the outside of that hand.
That hurts. Ice.
David being looked at by Ray Ramirez. You remember for so many years after he got hit a few times, Jeff Bagwell would wear that huge pad on the back of his batting glove.
Carlos Pena was hit last year by the Yankees and CC Sabathia. He wears almost a kind of shin guard on his hand now.
Take a look at David's swing here. This is going to be obviously the first pitch. Not a lot of take back. And it always looks just a little bit late. You see the top hand of David. It just, when that super set, ultra mo or slow, whatever the heck they call it, it's just like, it just looks like a mechanical swing. You lose the fluidity of the swing.
Three Stooges, ultra mo. All right.
Remember that one they went press, and Cody would pull?
David fielding well enough to flash a smile and push the trainer away. Would you like to take us episode by episode?
No. I'm being silly. I'll get serious.
So the Mets have their first base runner, and here's Jason Bay. 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts last night. He takes the curveball for ball 1. Jason now at .235 for the year, but most alarmingly, 51 at bats, 21 strikeouts, the most in the National League.
At 13, I believe, in his last 25 at bats, so it's been even worse of late. There we go. Greg Schultz right on top of it.
I think he was reading your mind.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Schulte's our chauffeur on the road.
Yes.
3-0 now to Bay with Jeff Francoeur on deck.
Tends to be our chauffeur through this broadcast at times, too, right?
Remember the first year, that couple years, you got us those little compact cars we couldn't fit in them?
Remember the time he got lost in the John Wayne Airport. Here's the 3-0, and that's inside of low ball 4, and Bay is on with a walk. So the Mets have 2 men on with Francoeur coming to the plate. And after Jeff Francoeur got off to a rip-roaring start, he has fallen into a hole and is now hitless in his last 18 at-bats.
Saw Lou talking with his pitching coach, Larry Rothschild. Now, remember, I said before this game started, before Silva pitched, no walks in his first 13 innings pitch, less than 2 in his entire career. Now has hit a batter and walked Bay.
So a first inning chance for Francoeur to produce in a scoreless game.
See if the first ball fastball hits. Nope, he took all the way.
And it was off the plate for ball 1.
Jeff got a little bit anxious, I thought, last night, and just overswung. Is that a word, swung? Is it?
Overswung?
You don't want to say swang, right?
Swung would be correct.
That's slang.
Hit in the air to deep left center field. Back goes Bird. He has room and runs it down to end the inning. So Francoeur driving one, but Bird able to put it away deep in the gap. When we come back for the second inning, the French. On the alumni list is number 41.
Actually, you know what? That's exactly. I hold 2 places, 1 and number 40, the 41st place. That's the 41st, or one of those 2 is rather honorary position, but there's only one in which I'm active.
Mike Davis, does he have another flip in him? No, came up a little short.
I would like to thank your director, Billy Webb, for his very warm welcome here as I walked in. And he left off. The nice thing is, as he left he began right where he left off the last time that I was here last year, with the same kind of warm and fuzzy notes that he does send them. So it's
because he loves you.
Yeah, yes, he loves me. That's right.
Tell us a little bit about the event today, the Wounded Warrior Project, and the reformation of the Alumni Association with Citi.
Well, Citibank has been very, very, I think, aggressive in trying to get this done and do it well. And one of the things that I think also is Fred Wilpon's, one of his pets might be is the Wounded Warriors and the people that have come back after serving in the armed services. And for me, my involvement too, not only just because it's coming through the New York Mets, but one of the most important areas of my development on the road to getting to the New York Mets of professional baseball was the Marine Corps and basically boot camp in San Diego, California. And I was 18 years old or whatever, and it changed my life. So I've always had the respect for these people that have been in the military, put themselves in harm's way, gone through this, and fight for your country. And I was, and I mean fight for your country, get yourself in front of a bullet. Yeah. I was lucky enough, and I didn't have to go to Vietnam in that sense. But I was reserved, and there was at one point that they would say, almost said we were going to go. Wow. And get your attention. So I got through it and didn't have a bullet fired at me, but it's something that, from my standpoint, being able to go back and pay back, it's very rewarding.
In what ways did it help you as far as your baseball career? Maturity, physical strength, or
discipline. They're just number one. Physical strength is another, and I was right in a development, physically a development phase, but it was discipline. And when you have somebody, and sometimes multiple somebodies screaming in your ear and in your face, and you have somebody, specifically a drill instructor. Now I'm 65 years old. This is when I was 18 years old. As Sergeant Yaters, Sergeant Thompson, and another drill instructor. Well, I remember them now. I still remember them, and they were very important to me. And there's also the level too, Ron, of being. Once a Marine, always a Marine, and that's true. And that's just being proud of being a Marine, albeit a 6-month Marine. I'm once a Marine, always a Marine as well. Great discipline helped me in pitching too. That's the biggest. That was one of the biggest. I got in there and I said, "Oh, this is what my dad's been talking about." Yeah.
And Ronnie was mentioning to me today the video they have of you in the new Hall of Fame and Museum, and the way he was just marveling at the drop and drive and the way that you got down, and you talk about the combination of discipline and physicality, and you can almost see it there.
Yeah, it's you don't see it much anymore, and I really don't know why. It is a discipline of physical explosion in the body is what it is, trying to get all the energy that you do create to the last moment of release. In a consistent manner. I mean, we all try to do that. Yeah. And we try to do that. We just do it different ways. But I've always been a believer that I have large muscles from the hips down, my rear end, thighs, etc. And it was to me it was imperative that I incorporate that in my delivery to be able to pitch 240, to be able to pitch 260 innings, whatever it might be, and it was, for me, it was just a natural way through the process of being able to fall into that, because that's the way I somewhat naturally began to throw as a youngster.
Base hit for Giovanni Soto. Soriano going to third, and so the Cubs have something brewing here in the second.
Tommy, tell me, I played in the 80s teams with a lot of talented pitchers. You, of course, with Jerry and that staff. How important was that fraternity of all pulling on the same rope? Pitchers are always considered a little different within a ball club anyways, but how important was that?
The weird guys.
The weird guys,
yeah. The weird guys.
The once every fourth or fifth day.
Yeah, and especially the starting pitchers, where you only, you have the greatest job in the world. You're playing Major League Baseball, and you pitch once every fifth day, and you become the most important, individual in the cast, because that's what it all runs around. Your pitcher gives your team a chance to win, and that elevates the play of everybody on the field on your side when you can win by 1 run. That you don't have to hit a 7-run homer, you don't have to drive in 5 runs in a night, and being able to do that in the lead role is it's pretty good duty. And the question of it, so we had a team that was able to do that, and it and then we had the grandfather figure in Don Cardwell, who if you needed a question, you needed an answer, you needed an opinion, you needed he wasn't afraid to give it to you, negative or positive or whatever, and he would give you his opinion in certain situations. So he was kind of the grandfather figure for all of us. And Nolan kind of got there at the end, and then the Mets made a mistake and traded him. Nolan and I were pretty close. And Nolan has been out to Napa and seen our vineyard and all that stuff. But he was, he's a long-term friend, and he's got a pretty good job in front of him right now running the Rangers and stuff. So that's a different issue. But he's. Nolan just did not get the chance to get enough innings in to pick it up. And the great thing about the trade, and I don't know if you've all talked about Nolan, when they made the trade for him, they put the ball in his shoe. The ball in his shoe. The great axiom of the ball's in your shoe, you're pitching. He went out there and they put the ball in his shoe and he said, we don't care if you don't get anybody out. In 5 days, the ball's going to be in your shoe again. They gave him the ball. You have a guarantee that you're going to make 36 or 38 starts.
When he got to the Angels, that's correct.
Tyler Colvin strikes out for the second out.
Well, we have seen over the last couple of weeks the development of Mike Pelfrey and kind of the switch being flipped on. A guy who's always had great raw natural ability, and Ronnie can speak to this better than I, but all of a sudden the light coming on. Is that something that had to happen for you, or did you see it more with other guys?
That's a tough question to say. I think I got it very early. Somehow, even in my rookie year, I got it very early. So I got to the mound somewhere on the way. I don't really know when or where or why. But I got very comfortable my first year, and it's the realization I got there, and I said, you know what, Tom, you can do this. You look at yourself in the mirror, you feel yourself, and I said, with a sense of the mind, I said, I can do this. Is what I do, and I know I can do it. And I got very comfortable, even, won 16 games at the ball club that lost 100 or whatever it was. And I said, I can do this. And I loved what I did. That's the other thing. If you love it, you can do what you're doing. Boy, you really can get in and dissect it and get your feet on the ground. But I was, for whatever the reason, and there's a lot of things along the way. It's USC, it's Rod Dedeaux, it's the United States Marine Corps, it's my dad, and with his concentration and focus in golf and all that stuff. And thinking, if this isn't a physical exercise, it becomes an art form even. That's the fabulous part about it.
Yeah, so it's when you get that confidence that you are above the fray, and that if I go out and treat this like I'm supposed to treat it, honor this profession, then things are going to come my way.
If you understand that, knowing that you can still get your head handed to you too.
That's true. That's right.
And if you don't, if you all of a sudden decide that you're going to wander around and think of this and that and the other thing, you get the fastball up the middle, and he's going to telling you, pay attention, young man.
That's right. Tom's great having here.
second inning for New York. It'll be Davis, then Barajas and Pagan against Carlos Silva in the bottom of the second. That's got 2 aboard against Silva in the first inning, but he was able to wriggle himself out of it. Then Oliver Perez got 2 men on against him in the top of the second and registered strikeouts against the 8 and 9 hitters. Now Davis 2 for 7 over his first 2 big league games. And Ike takes for ball 1.
Keith, he has gotten a steady diet of breaking balls, hasn't he?
Off-speed pitches yesterday. You would think that with the power pitching of Zambrano, he would have got the power pitching fastballs and hard sliders, but Zambrano just featured nothing but off-speed stuff.
Now, has that changed? Because it seems to me that there was a time when rookies came up, pitchers would first see if they could hit a good fastball out to center field, and Bird easing under it.
Now, granted, if you're not a fastball throwing pitcher, you're not going to be able to do that to any rookie coming up. But if you were a guy that you were known, my number 1 pitch, my fastball, you wanted to rush it up there and see if how good this kid was. Can he catch up to my fastball? But now I think it's a little different. I think the scouting report for the Cubs was throw him a lot of junk, and that's what they've thrown him.
And is that part of the difference? The fact that now you have scouting reports on kids coming out of the minor leagues. You've seen video on them, whereas when you were facing a guy for the first time, you might not have seen anything about him.
And also macho to a fault, Gary. You just wanted to prove your dominance. It was just how you felt. You know, there was a certain time that if a guy came up, if you didn't challenge him with your fastball, guys would scream at you from the bench. If you were facing an opposing pitcher and you threw him a first pitch breaking ball.
Hit in the air to deep left field by Barajas, way back, and that ball is out of here into the second deck. Rob Barajas crushes one for his 3rd home run of the year, and the Mets take a 1-0 lead. Now, Barajas has proven early on he is very much an all-or-nothing free swinger, and he got all of that.
Well, that's his wheelhouse, right down and in, inner half down. That's where he likes it. And that's just a sink that didn't sink that much. And that was a launch.
Both catchers brought here for the same reason. Their ability to mold the pitching staff with occasional offense and occasional power. Provided there by Barajas.
So 1-0 New York. Here's Angel Pagan, who arguably is the hottest hitter in the batting order, yet is hitting 8th.
There's the slow-mo. It just looks like there's no power in it because it's so slow, but it's an optical illusion. He just got everything on that one.
You know what's great about that? We've seen a lot of the ultra-mo where they've made contact with the ball at the plate or behind the plate. That was way out in front, hit that ball about 3-4 inches before it reached the plate.
Change up to Pagan, misses, 1-1. Angel hitting an even 300. And he hits one to left center field, hit pretty well, but Bird has room on this one. And that's the second out. So the Mets hitting some drives against Silva here in the second inning. Here's your IO pitch differential.
Well, he got it down, but you can see that little bit of difference. That's too much. That's all it takes, folks.
And you see Soto wanted that ball belt in. So you don't really want that ball sinking down and in. You want it true right at the belt. That's where Barajas has a little bit of a hole.
That just goes to show you, folks, just how fine it is to make a good pitch and then make a fat one.
Oliver Perez 1 for 4 this year, and Silva throws a fastball by him, 1-1.
It's how precise you have to be with your pitches. The guy who was just in the booth was precise almost all the time, but for us mere mortals, those things happen.
Ollie taking some rips.
Silva's kind of a contradiction in that he's a sinker ball pitcher, and yet he's given up as many as 38 home runs in a season.
Well, one, he pitched a lot in that Homer Dome in Minnesota. But secondly, he throws a lot of changeups. So if you leave those up in the zone, too. I mean, Bert Blyleven, right? Gave up 50 when he was
Major League record.
played for the Twins.
Did he get a stiff neck at the end of the year?
Oh, after a while, you stop looking. Just look at the umpire. Give me a new one.
1-2 to Ollie. And he floats one to second into the glove of Baker to end the inning. So the Mets are done in the second, but not before Rod Barajas breaks a scoreless tie, finding the second deck in left field. Barajas' third of the year gives Ollie and the Mets. So
Nice.
outside the Time Life building.
That's around Midtown, right?
Yeah, it's right near the SNY studios.
51st and 6th.
Yep.
That's looking out from our studios going downtown. Third inning, and Ryan Theriot leads off. Theriot took a call third strike his first time up. Grounded down to third. David Wright can't make the clean pick, and Theriot is aboard. David's tried that do-or-die pick on the backhand a couple of times. Came up with one the other night, but couldn't snag that one.
That was one he couldn't get in front of. He was playing in. That's the only play, was the backhand. That should be ruled a hit. What do you think, Ronnie?
Yes, absolutely a hit.
They charge an error.
Oh, boy.
It's always opposite, folks at home. Whatever I say, just go with the opposite.
Who is the official scorer tonight? I did not recognize the voice when they announced it. It is Jordan Spreckman.
You know Jordan?
I do know Jordan. He went to Columbia.
Oh.
Don't hold that against him.
Another Ivy Leaguer.
So the Mets commit just their 10th error in the first 15 games of the year. And here's Jeff Baker, who was retired on a spectacular play by Ike Davis his first time, but now he's got himself a base hit. And so the Cubs have the first two men on against Oliver Perez. The third hit off Ollie. And now the heart of the batting order comes up. Let's say you want to find up to the minute sports news with exclusive interviews, special features, or the best inside scoop from a complete network of New York team blogs. There's a place for that. SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Here's Derek Lee, who singled his first time up.
Jumped on that first pitch his first time up. You got to be aware of that if you're Oliver. Good pitch.
Lee snapped an 0 for 10 with the base hit his first time up. Down to third. White with a diving stop. Gets to his feet and gets the out at second. Nicely done by David Wright to take a base hit away from Lee and get the middle runner.
Well, a hot corner right here, and David diving nicely. Not much that Luis can do with that. Nice play by Dave.
That's a great shot.
Oh, man. You see, it's kind of obvious for your kids watching. You keep that glove face wide open like that, facing the ball.
And don't close your eyes until the ball's in your glove.
That's right. You don't want to say, look what I found.
Here's Marlon Byrd, who hit a comebacker his first time up. So first and third and one out. Cubs at first and third and one out in the last inning. But Ollie struck out the 8 and 9 hitters, Colvin and Silva. Now you've got the 4 and 5 hitters up. And Byrd tries to hold the swing, but 1 around, 0-1. Another first pitch breaking ball from Ollie, something we saw a lot of in his last start in St. Louis.
And most of the hitters have been taught by history that they're going to get a lot of first pitch fastballs by Oliver, and he's fooled them so far. You know, for you folks that watched last year, Oliver's throwing some different pitches. He's throwing a 2-seam running fastball that's running away from the right-handers. Split finger he's going to use more as his changeup, and more breaking pitches.
Hit in the air to deep left center field. Over goes Pagan. He's got plenty of room. Tagging at third is Terrio. Pagan's got it. Terrio coming home. Lee trying for second and makes it easily. It's a sacrifice fly for Marlon Byrd to tie the game at 1. So Byrd drives in his 11th run of the year, newly installed in the cleanup spot tonight.
Well, the pitch got up here, and a good pitch to get the sacrifice fly. And you see that Pagan kind of didn't get in front. He kind of drifted there, and as a result, caught that ball leaning back towards the fence, and that allowed Mr. Lee, who very smartly tagged up, to get there. He had no momentum going forward to make a powerful throw.
So that puts the go-ahead run into scoring position for Aramis Ramirez, who flied to left his first trip and takes the changeup low and away. It's been a real slog for Aramis Ramirez. 0 for 9 in this series, and now hitting just 143. And a guy who generally doesn't strike out that much. He's got 19 strikeouts already and 56 at bats.
Well, he said in spring training he had a little shoulder and back problem, and he said in the press, I'll take it easy. I don't need spring training. Well, when you open your mouth like that, you leave yourself open, and boy, he's having a terrible April.
Well, the Cubs missed Ramirez when he was down with a shoulder injury a good portion of last year, and then played with that injury. But they need him to be productive in the middle of that lineup.
Well, he's one of the premier offensive players. Last year, in a little over 300 at bats, he had 65 RBIs. A run producer.
And Ollie leaves it away from him. 1-2.
He's just swinging under the ball too much. Too much of an angle. Watch the angle of the bat underneath the ball. So you got to make an adjustment then. If I'm under the ball like that consistently, and he has been the first 3 games, you got to start thinking about hitting that top half of that ball and concentrating on hitting level that swing off.
Shorten it up a little bit too.
1-2 to Ramirez. He struck him out. Oliver Perez fans Aramis Ramirez to end the inning. An unearned run for the Cubs gets them even. Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up. Half hour by rain at the start. Rod Barajas with a home run. Cubs with an unearned run. 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the third. And Jose Reyes thinking bunt. Strike one. Reyes grounded out to third his first time up, and the corners come in. And Reyes hits one in the air to right field. Plenty of room for Tyler Colvin. One away. He's young.
Oh, man. I was looking at him. He looks younger than my son.
Here's your AT&T trivia question. Who are the three players to have a 40 homer season and a 50 stolen base season in their career?
Willie Mays. Barry Bonds? No.
Luis Castillo takes a strike. I don't know. Did Bonds ever have 50 steals?
I don't know.
How about Eric Davis? Did he ever have 40 home runs?
I don't know. I don't think so. How about this name? Brady Anderson.
Oh, that's
Did he ever have 50 steals? He had 50 home runs.
I know. I'm just thinking maybe in that same year, maybe he had.
Well, they're not saying the same year.
Yeah, no, but
two different years.
That was his great year.
Because there have been how many 40-40 players? There was Canseco,
yep,
A-Rod, Soriano, and Bonds, right?
Yes.
Those are the four. That's a great question.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Castillo hits one in the air to right center field, chasing Colvin back in the gap. You can see Louis hit the ball left-handed that far that often. That's the second out.
Well, that's the seventh fly ball out for the sinker ball pitcher Carlos Silva. Maybe he's pitching to the ballpark. Why not?
Right place to be a fly ball pitcher, unless you give up a fly ball as long as the one Barajas.
That's right.
Now David Wright, who got hit on the outside of the left hand by a pitch. And it certainly stung, but David able to stay in there, seemingly with no ill effect. Used that same left hand to make a diving stop not too long ago. There's that pitch.
Nope. That hurts.
Off the plate, and it's 2-1. Jerry Manuel was asked about his 3 and 4 hitters today, and he said he thought David Wright had a pretty good look at the plate right now.
You know,
surprised me.
You know, 2 days ago he said that Reyes, when he was going to come back, he would be good to go, and he was right with that one. But you know, I honestly was going to ask him a question, and then decided not to after he had made that assertion about David's game, that he was right on top of his game. I was going to ask, you know, did he give any thought to putting someone in between Wright, Bay, and Francoeur right now, where they're all in a little bit of a mini slump, let's call it, not on top of their game. But he said David is.
And Silva walks him. So Wright's now been aboard twice. That's his major league leading 19th walk. Second one given up by Silva tonight after not walking anybody in his first 2 starts. And now Bay will come up. Now, Jerry didn't say the same about Bay.
No.
He it was interesting what he said. He said, I just don't know him well enough to know what to expect from him when he's hot. So I have to see him hot so I can know how to help him when he's not hot.
You're so right. He just needs to see him when he's on top of his game, so that when he does go into a little slide, he can make some recommendations when he's around the cage.
Wright runs. Soto with the throw. Wright with the head for a slide in safely. And David has his 6th stolen base of the year.
It's kind of a slow tag, wasn't it? He didn't come down real, snap it down hard. Kind of slow-moed it. Let's see. Oh, it was a high throw. Nope. I take it back. He beat it.
Drew will please ignore that last comment.
Wrong.
Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss by Bay, and it's 0-2.
We get a pardon on that one.
Jason Drew will walk his first time up. Go ahead run at second with 2 down, but now Bay in a 2-strike hole.
What is Silva looking back over his shoulder after that pitch? Is he worried about David stealing third base?
I don't know what he's thinking about.
I mean, gosh, get the hitter.
Well, it doesn't matter anyways, because the Baker and Terrio away in the hole are not even holding right on, so there's nothing you can do anyways.
Struck him out. Off-speed pitch gets Jason Bay. First strikeout of the night for Carlos Silva. We've played 3 at Citi Field. Mets and Cubs. Fourth inning, Alfonso Soriano leads off against Oliver Perez. Soriano walked his first time up. A rare event in and of itself, and he takes a strike. Soriano 3 for 7 in this series.
Ollie started Soriano with a split finger. Second pitch was a split finger.
Driven toward the gap in right center field. And that's in for a base hit, and it'll roll to the wall. Soriano to second. He's going to take the turn and try for 3. Castillo with the relay throw. Safe. Close play, but Soriano, who was widely chastised for dogging it on a potential triple the other night, running out of the box here and gets 3.
And he doesn't run like he used to, but the spacious right center field, that's the deepest part of the park there by that Geico. Soriano, we're so used to seeing him running better. This is the guy who used to steal a lot of bases, and he's just barely getting there.
You know, all out effort there.
Very close play.
See the umpire trying to get around David to get a nice peek at this tag.
So a leadoff triple for Soriano, and the Mets will bring the infield in here in a tie game in the 4th. Giovanni Soto, the number 7 hitter, and takes low for ball 1.
Oh, here's another look.
Let's see if that left hand gets in.
Safe.
Yep. Good call.
Jerry's been playing that infield in early a lot lately, hasn't he? And the Cubs have just left a ton of men on in this series of runners on third base.
They got one in from third in the last inning when Marlon Byrd hit a sacrifice fly. Now Soto trying to get the run in with nobody out. And he drives one toward left field. That's going to be in for an extra base hit. Soriano to score. Soto heading for second. Bay played it off the wall well. Castillo with the tag out at second base.
What is going on here?
Jason Bay just playing a brilliant left field. Played that carom perfectly, and he guns down Soto. But Soto drives in the go-ahead run, and it's 2-1 Chicago.
Beautiful play off the wall. Throw right on target. I got to see if Soto was running out of the box here.
I think he was. I think he's just not very fast. And I think Bay's play surprised him.
Oh, look at that terrible slide.
Didn't even reach the bag.
What is that? Is this the big leagues?
Here's Tyler Colvin, the number 8 hitter, swinging at the slider, 0-1.
Well, he just comes and starts.
His heel first.
That's a terrible slide.
Does that have anything to do with the wet dirt?
Yeah, but you got, well, I don't know. They had the tarp on the field.
I think he started his. He saw the throw coming in. He started the panic mode, and he started the slide a little early. Simple as that. He did the pop-up slide a foot too soon.
Not to take anything. Nice play by Bay. That was the whole thing. The perfect throw. If that throw is 3 or 4 feet left or right of the bag, he's going to be safe.
You see why Bay had 15 assists last year.
You know, he came here with a reputation of being not a great outfielder. We haven't seen any of that. Although he's struggled badly at the plate, his defense has been terrific. Breaking ball hit to third, and David Wright slings it over to Davis to get Colvin for the second out.
And you, Gary, make a good point. It says a lot about a player, because sometimes when guys are struggling at bat and not making contact, they take that offense out into the field. And certainly the professional Bay he has not done that.
So 2 out, and now the pitcher Carlos Silva, who struck out his first time up. So the Cubs have taken their first lead in this series. That's won 6-1 on Monday night, 4-0 last night. One and 1 to Silva. And in fact, over the last 6 games, the Mets had not allowed a single run in the first 4 innings. But an unearned run against Ollie in the 3rd, and then they add one here in the 4th, and the Cubs have the lead. Imagine that, 6 straight games not allowing a run in the first 4 innings. Wow. That gives you a chance to get a lead and hold it. Call strike to Silva, 2-2. Ryan Theriot, the leadoff hitter, on deck. 5 hits now off Oliver Perez. And Silva on 2-2, shortening up to bunt. Interesting decision. 3-2.
No comment. I've been overly critical so far.
Have you?
Yes. I mean, it's just the Cubs look terrible.
Ball 4, and Silva's on with the walk. Well, Oliver Perez issues his second walk of the night with 2 out to the opposing pitcher. So that keeps the inning alive for Theriot. Theriot's taken a call 3rd strike, then reached on an error by David Wright and scored the first Chicago run. So he's 0 for 2. And fouls back the first pitch fastball.
It's the pitch count for Ollie. Good strikes to ball ratio. You know, the problem with Theriot, you know, his on base percentage is in the mid 200s. You know, they went into, when they signed that contract to Soriano, that he would be the leadoff hitter.
But even in his best days, Soriano was never a big on base percentage guy.
I agree. Didn't walk a lot.
Well, he'd give you 40 home runs and 40 steals.
That does present a little bit of a problem for a starting pitcher, though. That leadoff hitter can take you deep at any time.
No.
Ricky was like that, but Ricky had the walks.
Right. And Tommy Agee could take you deep. There have been a few leadoff hitters who could do that. Brady Anderson that one year.
How'd he do it? Well, was he a flash in the pan?
Yes. Jeff Baker on deck, certainly in terms of that part of his game. Another foul ball. Davis over for a look, but it's in the crowd. Still 1-2 to Terrio. With never a lack of excitement at catching a foul ball.
Like winning the lotto. People are so excited for that little orb.
What do baseballs cost these days?
I have no idea.
10, 12 bucks maybe. Here's the 1-2. And it's floated into right field. A base hit for Terrio.
Well, there's a run that should have scored right there. Those are the little things that beat you. Nice hitting. Hit that cold-hearted orb.
This is when I first saw Terrio come to the big leagues. I thought that's the kind of hitter he was. The guy who sprayed the ball around the field. He's just struggled these first couple of games. Looked like he was a little pull happy.
Before that base hit, he was just 1 for 14 against lefties, so a little better approach there, taking that ball to right field. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Lowe's. Scott's Turf Builder delivers a lush lawn from the roots up. Hurry in to get your free Scott's MLB Fan Guide, available exclusively at Lowe's. Well, the 2-out walk to Carlos Silva kept the inning alive for the Cubs. Now Terrio's base hit has put 2 men on for Jeff Baker, who is 1 for 2. Single to center his last time up. First time up, he hit that foul ball to the railing at the first base dugout, on which Ike Davis made a great catch and then flipped over the railing. Slider down for ball 1.
Well, you would think that the third base coach, Mike Quaddy, doesn't have much of a decision here. Carlos Silva on second base doesn't run that well. If there is a base hit, a single anyways, probably be a bases loaded situation for Lee.
I guess as the base coach, the tougher decision comes if he hits the ball between outfielders and they have to converge on it. Now do you give Silva the green light?
Yes. If anything to the left or right of any outfielder, yes, you give him the green light. The ball straight at the outfielder where he can come in straight in and get it on the move, that's the one you're going to have to hold him up on. 2 outs, you always make him take a. If it's close, it's going to be close. Make him make the perfect throw to get your runner.
The most important thing for a third base coach always is, you're right, Keith. Where does that ball go? But also, you'd hate to have Silva thrown out with Derek Lee on deck.
And if it's a few feet to the left or right of Jeff Francoeur, maybe it's a different decision.
That's right.
1-2 to Baker, and Barajas goes down to stop it. 2-2. So Silva with 2 out and 2 strikes, getting ready to motor. A lot of pitches this inning for Ollie. 68 now for the game, working in the 4th. Not horrible. Now the 2-2. Driven down the left field line. Hooking foul. Ooh, a bullet with home run distance. And a nice catch.
Well, that would have been a big blow right there. And oh, hey,
well, that's only 10 feet foul.
Did he catch it?
Yeah.
He caught it.
He didn't know he had it.
Very nice catch.
Glove back on. Never know.
Right, had another one right in that spot, right? Raul Valdez gets up in the Mets bullpen. So Perez in an extended inning trying to find the outlet. And Baker keeps the at-bat alive. Well, this is the play Ike Davis made on Baker.
Wow. Excellent recovery.
Rear end over tea kettle.
Very nice.
He landed it, though. That's a 10.
Did a great job using his left arm to hold onto that railing. 2-2. Fastball fouled away. You know, it helps to have that left-handed first baseman.
Always. It's so that you don't have. You never see a left-handed third baseman.
Well, that's true. Last regular left-handed first baseman the Mets had was John Olerud, and that's 11 years ago. Since then, it's been nothing but right-handers at that position. Fouled away, but do you know, here's something really quirky. The St. Louis Cardinals, you know the last left-handed first baseman they had?
I do, as I read it.
Keith Hernandez, 1982. They have not had a regular left-handed throwing first baseman since.
Really?
Yep.
And by the way, they're not going to have a left-hander there for a while either.
No, that's
You're right. Right about that.
Took him a while to find a position, but I think he's got a solid home there now. Again, the 2-2, and Baker yanks one foul. So a marathon here between Perez and Baker. It's already 9 pitches thrown, and in what has been a slog of an inning for Ollie, it keeps on going. Only 1 run home for the Cubs here in the 4th. A leadoff triple by Soriano. A single off the wall by Soto, but Soto thrown out trying to stretch into a double. Ollie prolonging the inning by walking the pitcher with 2 out. Now his 10th pitch coming to Jeff Baker. And he fouls off another one. So he has proven to be a major league pest. Silva spending a lot of time out on the bases. Terrio at first. Baker, one of 2 Clemson products in the Cubs batting order today. Tyler Colvin is the other. Or as they say in Clemson, Clemson. Here's the 2-2. In the air to right center field, and Frank Gore drifting over. And that retires the side, but not before the Cubs grab their first lead of the series. They're up 2-1. Five on SNY. Now, the Mets have always been known for their pitching, and the first really good pitcher they had has been a part of the Mets organization for nearly 50 years. He's standing by with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, an original Met. You got it, Gary. Al Jackson is here, and Al and I have just been talking a little pitching as Jeff Francoeur will lead it off for the Mets. And Al, I know this spring Jonathan Neese was kind of a little pet project for you, and you've really taken joy in his start. What are the types of things that you saw this spring and that you're seeing so far this Major League season as Ramirez will charge and fire? Francoeur put away, and he's not too happy about that call. While we take a look at that, Al, I'll let you answer that question. Tell me what you've seen from John so far.
I saw a future big league pitcher. This guy has all the ability that it takes to be an effective pitcher. He has 3 fastballs, curveball, slider, and a change. I think what those qualities puts him ahead of a whole lot of other people, because a lot of other people go down to maybe 2 pitches. So the hitter kind of pick out what he wants to hit.
Sure.
But not with this young man. This man with better command, he is going to be a great pitcher.
Right. Now, when you work with him in spring training, as Ike Davis will step up here, is it more physical? Are you more working with grips and things like that? Or is it a lot of mental coaching from your end?
Well, that's all mental right now because he has the grips. The ball does what he wants it to do. It's about being command, repeating the pitch. If he wanted to throw 2 sliders in the spot, that's what it's going to take. If he want to throw 2 sinkers in the spot, that's what it takes, to be a good pitcher. And I think he will be that. But he's young. He's going to make mistakes, but he's going to be okay.
Al, when you're in your position and, you deal with so many guys in the Mets system and you teach, how do you deal with guys that are on this major league roster? Obviously, they have a pitching coach in Dan Worthen, so they get instruction from him. How do you work with him and get your tutelage in there, and how does that dynamic work?
Dan and I really understand each other. Sometimes he point me out to do some things. Really one of those, just like Nice. Last time he pitched in Florida, he said, well, take him over there and throw 2 more innings. One of those sort of things. Well, we have a rapport. One of those sort of things. I wouldn't go against him. And whatever he wants, he's got. Really one of those things. I'm just pleased to be fortunate to deliver it. One of those sort of things. And it works well.
So nice having you here, Al. We appreciate the time, all right?
It's been a pleasure.
Al Jackson, guys, always great to talk to him. Mike Davis grounds out, 2 down. Let's go back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Kevin. Al Jackson, an absolute delight. Yes. And back here as part of the reforming of the Mets Alumni Association in cooperation with Citi. But having Al Jackson in this organization is like institutional memory around here.
If there's 10 classy Mets, he's in that top 10. That kind of guy. He was my mentor. I have such a warm feeling about Al. He's just one of the greatest guys to ever be around. Great teacher. And I remember he told me once, trying to explain where to throw the ball, outside, inside. He said, if you went fishing and all the fish are on one side of the pond, where are you going to go fishing? You're going to go fishing over there. He said the same way when you're delivering the ball to the plate. Where's all the outs? It's on that outside low part of the plate. Let's go there, brother. It was just a wonderful way of describing how to get people out.
Just like my dad. They always have a story like that to go to back up. Common sense, like a Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain type of story to back it up.
Barajas strikes out to end the inning. Carlos Silva maintains a 2-1 lead. We'll be talking more pitching because in the next half inning, Bobby Ojeda will We're going to try something a little new and bring in our studio analyst Bobby Ojeda to give a little, a little left-handed idea about how the left-hander is faring tonight, Bobby.
Well, I think he's battling. He's not as sharp as last time out, but he's certainly mixing his pitches. And and throwing enough strikes. He's just making some mistakes up out over the plate that he's getting hurt on.
You know, Bobby, you had such an outstanding changeup, and in this game, Oliver's trying to mix in his changeup, which is more of a split finger, turns it over a little bit. When did the light go on for you? Did it take a long time to develop that pitch?
Well, you know what? The light went on when Johnny Padres taught me that thing, and when it started to get people out, even at the minor league level, I said, this is a pitch I can live with. I like this thing. So then you just modify it in the big leagues, and you actually wind up. What I did is I used to vary my velocity. I could, if you knew changeup was coming, I would even take a little bit more off, give you what you wanted, just change the velocity, and I found that would work sometimes.
Hey, Bobby, we're watching everything here, Oliver pitching, the defense, offense. What do you see in the studio that we can sometimes miss with all the action here?
Great stop by David Wright behind the bag, and the long throw gets him. Another terrific play by David Wright for the first out.
Well, I'll tell you, Ronnie, we get a lot of the center field angle, but, David has been so fun to watch. The last 2 Ollie games, as a matter of fact, has made a big difference for him as well.
Well, it's almost one of those things where he goes to bed at night and Oliver's pitching the next day. Get your rest because you're going to get some ground balls. But you say you see the center field shot a lot more than we'll see it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like a coach. It's like you're watching a guy throw a bullpen to a certain extent. You're standing there, and you're just watching every pitch as it crosses the plate. So it's a very good angle. It's off as far as balls and strikes, but it certainly helps as far as where he's locating. And the velocity thing nowadays, even though, we don't necessarily believe the gun, they give us sort of a guideline of what the pitch could be.
You know, Bob, one of the things that you have as such an advantage is that not only did you play in the same time we played, but I know that with your good friend Richie Gedman in my hometown served as the pitching coach there. How different is it now to relate to these younger people than maybe in our day where a coach kind of would kick you in the fanny to get you going? Now you have to use a little more psychological warfare.
Well, you do. I think they used it on us, Ronnie. We just didn't get it. They were teaching us without telling us, I try to use, like all of us, we take what we learned from our father, what we learned from the great coaches, and one of mine, as I said, Johnny Padres and Mike Rourke and Ron Peronoski and Mel, obviously, and try to use the same message, just different words, a little more updated words, perhaps.
Driven to right field by Marlon Byrd. That'll roll to the corner. Byrd to second. He's going to pull in there with a 1-out double. So the Cubs pick up their second extra base hit of the night. Well, Bobby, it's great to get your insight from the studio. It's always good to have another perspective. So I hope we can do this again in the future and get your feelings as you're watching from back there.
All right, guys. Yeah, enjoy it. Pitching. Former pitchers never really agree on everything, but the one thing, bottom line, as long as you're getting them out, everybody's happy with you.
All right, Bob, go back to sleep.
I think the former pitchers agree a lot more than the former pitchers and hitters do. So here's Aramis Ramirez with a runner in scoring position. 7 hits now off Oliver Perez, who's been able to limit the damage to just 2 runs so far. Ramirez 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for 10 in the series. And this becomes a huge hitter for Ollie trying to get through the 5th inning.
You know, Keith, we always talk about, and Ramirez is struggling right now, and you've had in your career where you struggled a little bit. We always talk about what you do physically to try to get back in. Go the other way up the middle, whatever. What in your mind is going? I mean, what kind of frustration are you feeling when you're going through this kind of stretch?
Well, you don't want to hurt your ball club, and it's compounded when your team's not playing good and you're leaving men out there. I used to take more pitches when I slumped because I had no rhythm. When you're in a slump, everything is in fast motion. And Ramirez
to shallow right. Rancor in to grab it.
So I would, David didn't like it when I took pitches. Sometimes he'd like to hit and run with me, make me swing the bat. But when I took those more pitches, I took them with the approach that I took it like I was going to hit it. I just didn't take it like 3-0. Standing up there, every take had a purpose, and trying to find that point where I can get that. I feel like I'm in a rocking chair again. When I was red hot, I always felt like I was in a rocking chair.
So you were trying to envision, even though you weren't going to swing, putting the proper move on the ball. Okay.
And a lot of times what got me out of a slump was I took a good curveball that was in the dirt, and I took it as I was going to hit, and I would go, oh, I was going to swing at that pitch, and it's a ball. I've got that much more time to wait. And that broke me out of it sometimes.
Soriano takes inside ball one. Well, we saw it last night with Reyes, a little snort the other way. Gets him started on a 4-hit night after going 0 for 18.
When you're struggling like that, you get that first hit and that first at bat, you go, okay, I'm semi-covered tonight. Let's see what we can do the next at bat.
Soriano will walk in a triple to right center. He scored the go-ahead run in the 4th. And he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike, and it's 1-1. Soriano's so spread out up there at the plate.
I personally would be very, very careful with Soriano here. 2 outs and a base open. I know Soto had a base hit his last at bat. He's had 2 hits in the game, but certainly not the game changer that Soriano is.
Fastball down, and it's 2-1. Ollie's hit 90 on the gun a number of times tonight after starting out in the 86-87 range in the first inning. Not the 94 we once saw. But if he can harness his off-speed pitches the way we saw in St. Louis, 90's plenty. 2-1 to Soriano. Up and away for ball 3. Well, Giovanni Soto, who has 2 hits tonight, waits on deck. Let's see what Ollie does here with first base open.
See what Jerry does with Soto in the on-deck circle, 2 for 2. If he loses Soriano.
This will be the 90th pitch of the night for Perez. Nobody's up in the Mets bullpen. Valdez was up in the last inning. 3-1, and a slider line over the glove of Castillo for a base hit. Bird comes around to score, and it's 3-1 Chicago. Well, he threw him a wrinkle on 3-1, but Soriano rifling a base hit, his second of the night.
Nice hitting by Soriano on top of the plate. Wanted a little backdoor slider right down the pipe, and see, he didn't pull this ball. He just went right with it. Beautiful hitting. Beautiful hitting. Great transfer of weight from the back foot forward.
Wow, look at Louis.
Almost.
Whew. Good effort, Louis.
So a 2-out run for the Cubs. 8 hits now off Oliver Perez. And now Soto, who's 2 for 2. And he takes the off-speed pitch for a strike. Soto single to left in the second, and then rifled one off the wall in left in the 4th to drive in Soriano, then got thrown out at second base by Jason Bay, who made a great play barehanding it off the wall. Slider low and in, 1-1. Giovanni Soto, 2 years ago, National League Rookie of the Year. Last year, a dreadful sophomore season. Tyler Colvin on deck. But Soto dropped a ton of weight, came back in this year determined to get back to his rookie form, and so far so good. He's hitting .333. And again, Ollie falls behind 3-1. Well, you got the left-hand hitter Colvin on deck, whom Ollie has dominated so far. In fact, he still hasn't given up a hit to a left-hand hitter all year. So he certainly doesn't want to make anything fat here for Soto. Throws him a fastball for a strike, 3-2.
And interesting to watch Soto as you see the pitch count here for Ollie up to 95. Soto in this series, if I had to say there was one theme, as you see Valdez up, how many fastballs he's taken ahead in the count.
Soriano gets set to run with 3-2 and 2 out. And Soto lays off the breaking ball, and it's ball 4. And so Ollie has issued his 3rd walk. And now he'll face the left-hand batting Colvin with 2 out and 2 on. First, Dan Warthen will pay a visit to the mound. So it's been an uneven night for Oliver Perez. He's allowed 3 runs and 8 hits, 3 walks, and a hit batsman. Well, no hit batsman, but an error costing him a run in the 3rd inning. And to his credit, he's been able to slog through a lot of base runners and not give up that big inning. But now he's got to get this hitter out. Get to Citi Field as the series with the Cubs concludes tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. with Johan Santana on the mound. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Well, here's the rookie Colvin, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out and grounded out. First round pick by the Cubs in 2006. Had a tremendous spring training to make the ball club unexpectedly. And Colvin bloops one behind shortstop. Reyes retreating to make the grab. Side retired. Cubs tack on a run on the Soriano 2-out hit. Halfway through, it's 3-1 Chicago. Angel Pagan leads off for the Mets in the home 5th inning. Bluffs a bunt and takes ball 1 from Carlos Silva. Pagan flied to center his first time up. Angel hitting 8th in the order. Oliver Perez due up next. Gary Matthews out on deck to pinch hit. There's a strike. Angel Pagan and Giovanni Soto engaged in quite a bit of conversation every time Pagan comes to the plate. And the reason is these guys have known each other since middle school. Pagan was 2 years ahead of Soto, but they go way back together and they talk all the time. In fact, Pagan is the godfather of Soto's first child. So very close, dating back to their days in Puerto Rico and in the Cubs organization. There's a strike, 1 and 2. And Angel was really singing the praises of Giovanni Soto today, talking about just how hard he worked this offseason to get himself in shape to rebound from the horror that he suffered last year.
Listen, it can happen. The 2009 Rookie of the Year, Chris Coughlin, hitting a $140 in Florida.
He didn't look good. Coughlin didn't look good all spring. Good call.
Nobody wants to be Joe Sharpenow.
That's right.
With the Rookie of the Year and never be heard of again.
The passe sophomore jinx. Don't hear that anymore.
Maybe not so passe. The thing about the sophomore jinx is that it's been accelerated. Now with all the video, people can go to school and you're so much faster. It's sometimes the second month jinx. 2-2 to Pagan, and it's popped up. Third baseman Ramirez coming in toward the mound. 1 away. Well, what say we answer the AT&T trivia question? We asked who are the 3 players who have hit 40 homers in a season and had 50 stolen bases in a season. We guessed.
No, Willie Mays?
We got one of them, Barry Bonds.
Rhino.
Ryan Sandberg had a 50 stolen base season. And Brady Anderson, we speculated on.
Yeah. I would have never gotten Ryan Sandberg. I never thought he would had a 50 stolen base season.
I knew he had 40 home runs.
Yep.
I think he had 40 homers and about 85 RBIs.
That's right.
If you wanted an RBI in that Cubs lineup, Sandberg wasn't the guy.
I'll tell you, the RBI guys on that team, talking about a guy who had to face them, Sarge was number 1. The third baseman from the University of Texas.
It's not Ron Say.
No. The other one. He played in the outfield. Keith Moreland. Outstanding RBI guy.
Moreland's here doing the radio.
Oh, he is.
He's doing radio.
But then a little bit later, it was Andre Dawson. I mean, Sandberg and Dawson together in that lineup. You'd pitch to Sandberg 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, I'm talking about the '84 team, I guess.
I thought Sandberg was a good clutch hitter. Don't forget now, he hit second in that lineup. And that's not an RBI spot. That year MVP year, he hit in '84. He drove in '85, if I'm correct. If I remember correctly. But it's hard for a guy in the 1 and 2 hole to drive in 100 runs.
My feeling about Sandberg always was that he was a good player, but never as great as he was made out to be.
They just had, he was the right person at the right time.
In the right ballpark.
In the right ballpark.
Yeah. Gary Matthews pinch hitting for Perez, and he fouls it off. I mean, to me, if you take Ryan Sandberg here and Craig Biggio here, I'll take Biggio.
Sandberg is pretty good, though. I don't know.
I don't know, Gary.
I'm sure my numbers are really awful against Sandberg.
No offense to Craig Biggio. I'd take Sandberg.
That's a good conversation.
Yeah. In that lineup, you had Bobby Denier a lot of the times leading off. Sandberg hitting second. Anyway to go to Sarge. Sarge hit third in that lineup.
Back in '84, you talking about?
Yeah.
Leon Durham there.
Leon Durham clean up. He was clean up.
Yeah, then you had Jody Davis catching. You had Say Davis. They were a right-hand hitting ball club, and they could hit, and they could steal signs.
8th hitter would be Larry Boa.
I'm trying to think who platooned with Henry Cotto. Platooned with Denier.
Yep.
And Cotto had a good year that year.
Boy, Denier could run. Matthews turns on one and fouls it off. It's going to struggle for Gary, hitting just 185. And has seen his playing time diminish after splitting time in center field the first week and a half with Angel Pagan. Hold foul. We mentioned it right at the end of the broadcast last night, the news that Carlos Beltran, after being examined in Colorado, still is not being allowed to begin baseball activity. So the long-term plan here is going to continue to be Pagan and Matthews in center field, with Beltran not on the horizon at the moment. Just missed with a fastball, 2-2.
And Gary, I think that's just to try to wash last season away. Can't spend any time thinking about who you don't have. You just got to concentrate on the 25 guys you got in there and make it work somehow, some way.
2-2, struck him out. Silva fans Matthews. That's the third strikeout for Carlos Silva. I think that's a great point, because there was so much talk last year when people were hurt about treading water until so-and-so comes back. You can't perform that way.
Jim Leland had the great line. I had to do a game in Detroit, and I'm talking to him before the game, and one of the reporters asked him, "Are you going to go watch so-and-so throw? He's going to do a bullpen. He's going to be ready maybe 4 or 5 days." He goes, "I don't care if he's doing a bullpen. Tell me when he's in uniform and on the 25-man roster. Then I'll go talk to him."
Here's Reyes with 2 out. By the way, Chris Carlin has passed along the information. Sandberg hit .232 against you.
Oh, gee. I don't know how. I'm telling you, it always seems like he was rounding the bases.
2 home runs. Reyes pops one up, shallow center field. And in comes Marlon Byrd to play it. Another 1-2-3 inning for Carlos Silva, who's settled into a nice groove. He's retired 11 of the last 12. Manny Acosta coming on. Next opponent for the Mets coming on Friday. As you look at the upcoming schedule, remember all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. One more with the Cubs, then 3 with the Braves, and 3 with the Dodgers. So plenty more baseball on this homestand before the Mets go to Philadelphia. And when the Mets play the Braves over the weekend, it'll be a bit of a homecoming for Manny Acosta, the former Brave, now in his first game as a Met.
Well, went 1-1 at a 4.34 ERA in 36 games last year for Atlanta.
Acosta signed by the Mets during spring training this year. Brought up today with Ryota Igarashi going on the disabled list with what is described as a moderate hamstring injury, which I guess is worse than a mild hamstring injury.
It's in between mild and sprained, Gary.
Thank you, Dr. Darling.
It also means 3 to 4 weeks.
Is that official, or?
Well, just from your own.
A hammy is a hammy. It's a hammy. A hammy's a hammy. I'm sorry. Those things don't heal. I had one. They take their time.
And that's unfortunate because Igarashi was filling a very vital role in the Mets bullpen, and the 8th inning job for all intents and purposes was his, although the Mets haven't had a lot of classic setup situations where they've had a small lead to protect and used one guy in the 8th and then K-Rod in the 9th, but he was certainly in that mode, and now Jerry's got to go to plan B, which is right now to use Fernando Nieve and Pedro Feliciano in the 8th inning. Of course, the problem is that Nieve's already been in 10 of the first 14 games. Silva takes strike 3 called on the outside corner, so Acosta fans the first man to face him. 1 out. Of course, the other candidate to pitch that 8th inning is Henry Mejia.
Perfect pitch here by Acosta. Nice frame by Barajas. That's a nice shot. Barajas looking that ball in and holding it on that corner for umpire Jeff Kellogg.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Ryan Theriot, and he bounces one slowly foul. Theriot 1 for 3, reached on an error and scored a run in the 3rd, single to right in the 4th. Manny Acosta started out in the Yankees organization, but was with the Braves system for the last 7 years, including 3 stints in the majors with the Braves over the last 3 seasons.
Kind of a 3-pitch pitcher. He's got that overhand fastball, curveball that you just saw, on that little cutter slider.
28 years old, and there's the breaking ball for a strike, and it's 1-2. Toward the hole, David Wright can't get this one. After making a diving stop on a similar play earlier in the game, Theriot has his 2nd hit of the night.
There's Acosta's motion straight over the top. See how he furls that glove? That's the way to pull it out of pull it away from your shoulder so you can open up that left shoulder, and then straight over the top. Guys who throw over the top really have to clear that shoulder and clear your head to get your arm through.
So now a runner aboard for the Cubs in the 6th inning, and Jeff Baker comes up. Baker 1 for 3 tonight. The Cubs now have 9 hits. The Mets have had only 1 hit. That was the Rod Barajas home run back in the 2nd. And a fastball strike to Baker. Oliver Perez threw 97 pitches over 5 innings. Allowed 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them are in, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Derek Lee on deck. And a good breaking ball by Acosta. 0-2. And I guess the best thing you can say about Ollie tonight is, amidst a plethora of base runners, 9 hits, 3 walks in 5 innings, he was able to at least modify the damage a little bit.
Well, you know, when you talk about starting pitchers, you you know, you love when they have those no-brainer games like Pelfrey had last night, right on time. But you also have to like when they get through those games where they didn't have their best stuff, and all he didn't have is stuff that he had in St. Louis.
And Acosta with the slider takes care of Jeff Baker for the second out. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Acosta.
Oh, that's a hanger right there. He just missed it. This is on a tee, and he got away with it.
Almost didn't break enough. It kind of not a backup, but almost close to it.
So now 2 on the runner at first. Here's Derek Lee. He's had 2 fine plays made against him by David Wright tonight. Wright diving to his left for a ground ball, got a force play against Lee in the 3rd, and going to his right for a ground ball by Lee, and threw him out in the 5th. Otherwise, Lee could easily be 3 for 3. And a fastball on the corner, and it's 0-2. So Acosta looking sharp. Acosta remind you a little of Jorge Sosa?
Yeah, he does. He does.
With the Mets a few years ago, another former Brave.
Never liked the road uniforms of the Cubs, the blue and the big emblem there. It's not my favorite uniform. I liked it better when the old days when they were gray with that Chicago written across.
Yep. Up and in to Lee.
And then they had the Cub emblem on their shoulder, which was the face of a Cubby Bear.
The
right?
Cubby Bear, right. Now they've got something of a cub inside that C. A little hard to see. 1-2. Low and away. Manny Acosta making his Mets debut. Terrio can steal a base. And the breaking ball high. Now a full count to Lee after Acosta got ahead of him 0-2.
Three-two slider here, Keith.
He hasn't been getting that breaking ball over. I think that Lee's going up the middle. I try to bust him in, but that's me.
Terrio gets set to run. 3-2 to Lee. Slider, did he go? They check it first. He went around, strike 3. Derek Lee is fanned. 3 strikeouts in his first inning as a Met from Manny Acosta. And the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 6th, down 3-1. David Wright tonight. Mets with a powerful moment. Second deck. Mets have swept the first 2 games, but they're down in this one 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Luis Castillo up for the 3rd time, takes a strike from Carlos Silva, who has been terrific. Silva, who came into the night with a 0.69 ERA, has allowed just 1 hit. The home run by Barajas back in the 2nd inning. Castillo's hit the ball in the air twice tonight, 0 for 2. And that's been the interesting part of Silva's night, is the number of fly ball outs that he has generated.
His changeup has been a good out pitch for him. He's not overusing it. He's throwing primarily hard stuff, Ronnie, and he mixes it in there and he's getting an out with it.
You made a great point, Keith. A lot of times for pitchers, they'll have a good pitch working, they'll overuse it. And what he's done is, you're right, mix that fastball in and outside corners, and then when he needs an out, he goes to the changeup.
He's got 9 outs in the air in the first 5 innings, only 2, making 3 on the ground. Ahead on Castillo, 1-2, and Luis slaps one right back to the mound. And Silva makes the play for the first out. So 1 out in the bottom of the 6th as Silva keeps on rolling. He's retired the leadoff hitter now in 6 consecutive innings. And David Wright will bat. David hit on the hand by a pitch in the first inning, walked and stole a base in the 3rd. 19 walks now for Wright, and that keeps that on base percentage very high at .456. 19 walks in 15 games. That's a ton. Yeah, he takes a strike on the outside edge.
Oh,
didn't know it was that cold.
Ferlin Husky. He was a country western singer back in the 50s and 60s. He was a very famous country western singer.
And did he wear furry hoods? Look. Fastball beats right. That's 1-2.
Wow.
David looking back to ask Jeff Kellogg whether that would have been a strike.
David's got to keep that front shoulder in. He's pulling off. He can't hit the outside pitch. He's got to stay in.
1-2 off the plate, and it's 2-2 to right with Jason Bay on deck, and you saw Jeff Francoeur kneeling there in the hole, thinking about breaking 0 for 20. 2-2 curveball struck him out. Silva gets the foul tip, held by Soto. 4th strikeout for Carlos Silva, who's now retired 9 in a row. There's your solo 6th inning recap, and Silva's been the story so far. A 1-hitter through 5 2/3, the only Met hit and run on the Rod Barajas home run. Oliver Perez, not too bad tonight, but the Mets have not been able to get their offense going. Now Jason Bay steps in, a walk and a strikeout tonight, 0 for 1, and he drives one to left field. That'll fall for a base hit. So Bay with a 2-out single, and that'll get Francoeur to the plate as the tying run.
Well, we'll take a look at David's swing here, and he's frustrated. This is the strikeout on a changeup that had a lot of plate, Ronnie, and up. And he swung through it. He's on it, but he's under it.
Now, what does that tell you?
He's dropping his back shoulder. He needs to concentrate on getting on top of that ball right now, hitting line drives.
Francoeur attacks the first one and fouls it back.
I'll tell you what, when I came up, I would drop that shoulder, Gare, and I couldn't hit that pitch belt high and up away. And Ted Williams, I read his book. He used to tie a spare tire across a tree branch and put the tire in the middle of the arc as a letter high fastball. And he would just chop wood, he said. He'd just swing down on it all winter long. I went home. I just and when you hit the tire, you hit it right up at the plate. You can't follow through in your swing because the tire is going to prevent you from it. But it's going to give, so you have some cushion there. It's not going to hurt your hands. And all I did was swing down, and it keeps your shoulder level. And I became a very good high and away hitter. It became the easiest pitch to hit.
Francoeur out to center field. Bird is there. Francoeur now 0 for his last 21, and the Mets are done in the 6th. They have just 2 hits, and they trail 3-1. a Met. Struck out 3. Misses outside with a slider. Bird is 1 for 2. Doubled and scored a run his last time up. Took the ball down the right field line against Oliver Perez. Acosta in his first Met appearance after being called up today. And he leaves it high to Bird. 2-0. It'll be Bird, then Aramis Ramirez, and Alfonso Soriano for the Cubs in the 7th. Chicago trying to snap a 4-game losing streak and leading 3-1. And Bird takes a fastball high, 3-0. Marlon Byrd has spent the last 3 years with the Texas Rangers after beginning his career in Philadelphia, then a year with Washington. Had far more success in the American League. Fastball for a strike, 3-1. Raul Valdez staying ready in the Mets bullpen. This is a predominantly right-hand hitting lineup that the Cubs throw out there. The one left-handed hitter is Tyler Colvin, who's hitting 8th. 3-2 now to Bird. Bird hitting cleanup tonight for the Cubs as Lou Piniella continues to rejigger his batting order, trying to find a winning combination. Including their 3 runs tonight, the Cubs have scored 9 runs in the last 5 games. That's a tough formula to win with. Outside ball 4, and Bird draws a leadoff walk.
Okay, well, I think we're going to demonstrate here what I mean when you drop the shoulder. Now, when I drop the shoulder in my swing, and I like this, you see the angle of my shoulders. The bat has to go with the angle of the shoulders. So what happens when you do this? It makes you a good low ball hitter, but the ball here and up, you can't get to it. You can't do this. You can't, with your shoulders like this, you can't bring it up. Your bat's going to follow the angle. So what Ted Williams did was with that tire right here was just do this. So I'll give you
foul ground. Ike Davis is under it. And that's the first out.
So the drill that Ted Williams had with the tire over a tree, put it right about here, and you chop wood. Now, when you chop wood, look at my shoulders. Where are my shoulders? Level. And that makes you now, easiest pitch to hit is right there. A fastball out over the plate or a hanging curveball to pull or go up the middle or hit down the line the other way. So that you got to have the tilt in your swing on a low pitch because you got to go down and get it. But the pitch belt up, you want to bring your shoulders more parallel to the ground.
I'm glad you were able to actually pick up a bat this time. Last time you did a demonstration in the booth here, you did it batless, but this was great.
Well, Ronnie had to vacate.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, you would have been hitting him right in the pumpkin right there.
I've been vacating about every half inning tonight.
Here's Soriano taking low, and it's 2-0. Soriano's been on base 3 straight times, a walk, a triple, and a single. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run tonight. So lacking a tire, is there another way for a hitter to work on not dropping that shoulder?
Well, I used to take all my practice swings before I got up to the plate. I always took 3 practice swings. And they were always a high ball chopping down.
It was exaggerated, right?
Yeah, exaggerated. So that was a habit I can fall into. So you ultra compensate.
Because actually, when you swing, there's no way that you can swing down on a ball.
Yeah, exactly. So my father said when I was a kid growing up throwing BP, if we were swinging up, he'd say, son, you're swinging up. I want you to swing down. And when you swing down, you'll swing level. Yes, Dad. Can we get ice cream after BP?
Soriano hits it out to left. Day looking up, and that ball is out of here. Alfonso Soriano with a laser beam of a 2-run homer, his 2nd of the year. And the Cubs stretch the lead to 5-1. A big night for Soriano. Triple, single, home run, 3 RBIs. And the Cubs now have a 4-run lead.
Well, he's got pop, and he's on. Oh boy, that was a hanger, and it would have been a ball in the dirt. He just went down and dropped the barrel. Now see, his shoulders there were angled because the ball was low.
So it's 5-1 Chicago. Now Soto, who's been on base 3 straight times, 2 singles and a walk. 1-1 to Soto. Let's check out the IOTV pitch differential.
Well, Rod Barajas set up away and missed on the other side of the plate. Down and in breaking balls to Soriano. That's the result. He's going to hit it hard.
So Acosta, who had himself a good 6th inning, a leadoff walk here in the 7th. And then a 2-run homer by Soriano, messing up his first night as a Met. 10 hits now for the Cubs. 1-2 to Soto, and it misses away. Tyler Colvin, the number 8 hitter, on deck. Glad that Ollie's out of the game. He really looked lost against the lefty. 3-2 now to Soto. And he walked him. Second walk of the inning given up by Acosta. And that's going to be all for Mr. Acosta, with the lefty up in the bullpen and the left-hand hitter Colvin coming up. Acosta's evening will end after an inning and a third. So the Mets will make a pitching change here in the 7th. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Acosta takes his exit with the Mets down 5-1 in the 7th. Since we saw him in the 18th inning on Saturday.
He's done a nice job so far, Raul Valdez. See his game so far. This will be his 6th. 8 strikeouts in those innings pitched.
John Marshall up in the Cubs bullpen. Hard to believe that the Cubs wouldn't keep running Silva out there, as good as he's been tonight.
That's a very voyeur shot right there by Mr. Webb.
It's like the knothole gang.
There you go. There you go.
Looking through the fence. So Tyler Colvin will have to face another left-hander. He's gone 0 for 3 tonight, all against Oliver Perez. Pitcher spot is due up next. At the moment, Ryan Theriot, who is not the on-deck hitter, is on deck. But how could they take Silva out?
Can't take him out.
86 pitches through 6 innings.
He's got a 2-hitter.
He also he's got the Mets befuddled. You don't want to take anyone out when he's got the hammer down.
Especially when you're dealing with the Cubs bullpen, which has been so dreadful. 1-1 to Colvin. Colvin has struck out, grounded to third, and popped to short tonight. He and Aramis Ramirez, the only Cubs starters tonight who have not reached base. 1-2 to Colvin. Fastball just missed, and it's 2-2.
Met outfield really shaded to opposite field. Big time in center, Pagan. There's the new relief pitcher for the Cubs.
He might be pinch hitting. Hit hard, fair ball going down the line, and it goes out of play. A ground rule double for Tyler Colvin. So stopping at third is Soto, and the Cubs have runners on second and third.
Hanging breaking ball here. The only ball he could have pulled. Something off speed, hanging right there. That's the only ball he can get the barrel of the bat at. He stayed right in there. That front shoulder almost tripped over the bat. I don't know how he did that. And that ball jumped out over the wall. How about that? That's a break for the Mets, because that would have scored a run easily. It might have had 3 bags all over it.
Well, Xavier Nady is going to come up to pinch hit for the Cubs. So Silva is out of the game after 6 stellar innings. And Nady, who started the opening game of this series and whom we expected to see in the lineup tonight against the left-hander, gets the pinch hitting assignment here. Second and third and 1 out, so we'll see how the Mets decide to play this.
Well, they got to bring the infield in here. It's late. They're already down 4.
Would you walk Nady and pitch to Theriot?
It's definitely an option. Theriot, though, pretty good speed. I don't know if you're going to be able to double him up.
So we'll see what Jerry decides to do here. No intentional walk-up coming. We'll see how Valdez pitches him.
Nady had some tough at-bats against the left-hander Nice on the first night.
So the infield comes in. The Cubs already up 5-1 in the 7th. And Nady takes below the knees for ball 1. Well, it's a lot easier for those relief pitchers to see the game from the bullpens the way they've been reconfigured this year.
That's a great shot right there with the fans in the background. It's like a scene from The Natural.
Waiting for the exploding lights. Well, Carlos Silva will put the game in somebody else's hands for the last 9 outs. Chance to get his second win of the season. 2-0 now to Nady. And he fouls one straight down on the curveball. Soto is at third, Colvin at second with 1 out. 2 runs in on the home run by Soriano here in the 7th. Off Manny Acosta. Theriot waiting on deck. The Mets bullpen is quiet, so right now it's up to Valdez to get through this inning against the right-hand batters. Two-one on the outside corner, a strike. So Valdez spotting his fastball, and it's 2-2.
Well, you got to hold them here because you talked about it before. Silva's out of the game, so the Mets can start anew. That bullpen of the Cubs, their confidence cannot be high, but you have to get out of this inning.
2-2 from Valdez, comes inside and a full count to Nady. just me? Have we seen full counts to every hitter tonight?
Yes, we have.
Just checking.
I'm a little alarmed at Valdez's velocity tonight. He's throwing 85 mile an hour. If that gun's right, he's supposed to have a sneaky fastball. 85 is not sneaky.
He's usually about 87. 3-2. Inside and low, ball 4, so he walks Nady, and now the bases are loaded. Third walk of the inning, and the 6th of the night for Met pitching. Tomorrow, SNY will be in full draft mode. Janae Coakley is live from the Jets complex with Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum. Plus, running back Sean Green and former Jet Joe Klecko weigh in on the latest from Radio City on Jets Nation Draft Day 2010. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6 p.m. only on SNY. It's been the Sean Marshall Show from various angles. Meanwhile, Ryan Theriot with a chance to break the game open for the Cubs with the bases loaded and 1 out. Theriot 2 for 4 tonight. Single to right, single to left. Soto at third, Colvin at second, and Nady at first with 1 out. Take a pretty good fly ball to get Soto in from third. Mets hoping for a ground ball to work with. And Theriot takes in off the plate. 1-1.
Did Mr. Halliday go 4-0 tonight with that shutout? Gare?
Yes, he did.
It was a complete game shut piece. 4-0.
It's 2 complete games in a row.
He's pretty good, by the way. Change up way outside. It's 2-1. Valdez struggling with his control. Well, the Phillies had lost 3 in a row, so Halliday playing stopper tonight puts them back on top in the East at 9-5. 2-1 now to Theriot with the bases full. And he grounds one to the hole, base hit. That'll bring home Soto. Colvin pulls in at third. Third hit of the night for Theriot. This one drives in a run, and it's 6-1 Chicago. 5th run batted into the season for Theriot. All 3 runs in this inning charged to Acosta.
Slider right there, down and in. Nicely done by Theriot.
Well, he got the ground ball, but too much in the middle of the plate, so of course hit too hard for Reyes to make the play.
Did you see Colvin at second base? He hesitated. He stopped. If the ball's on the ground, the bases are loaded. Did he not know the bases were loaded? I'm sorry to get on you, but you know what? Put you back to freshman class.
So the Cubs with 3 runs home here in the 7th. And now the 8th man up will be Jeff Baker with the bases loaded. Still only 1 out. Baker 1 for 4 tonight. Single back in the 3rd inning. Let's get some action going in the bullpen, but it's all Valdez right now. Facing his 3rd consecutive right-hand hitter after coming on to face the lefty Colvin. Gave up the double to Colvin, a walk to Nady, and then a run-scoring hit to Theriot. So Valdez still has not retired a batter.
He closes the book on Acosta. And he gave up 1 1/3, 3 runs.
0-2 now to Baker, with Derek Lee waiting on deck. The Cubs have out hit the Mets now 12-2. Isanori Takahashi gets up in the Mets bullpen. And Baker takes below the knees. 1-2.
I'm sorry if I'm a little acerbic tonight, Gare.
I like it. Colvin's at third, Nady at second, and Theriot at first. Sometimes some games call for acerbic, and I think you've had a sense of that since the 1st inning. 1-2, fisted foul. A rough go for Raul Valdez, but he gets the comebacker here. Comes home for the force. No relay by Barajas. Valdez took his time as though he forgot the situation there. Finally threw home to get one, but no chance to double up Baker. That's the second out.
Well, this ball gets over the head of Valdez. That's a run. They're not going to get a double play on this. So nice play there. He had the side of the slope of the mound to deal with too, Ronnie, correct?
He had that, but I think when the ball was hit, he thought it was going to be over his head, so he's going to proceed to go to shortstop for the more traditional 1-6-3.
You see, he looked at first base there.
Yeah. Just like any infielder, when you're out there before you deliver the pitch, know what you're going to do with the ball when it comes to you.
Now Derek Lee, the ninth man up in the inning. Lee is 1 for 4 tonight, singled back in the first. Twice robbed of hits on good plays by David Wright, and struck out his last time up. Nady now at third, Terrio at second, and Baker at first after reaching on the fielder's choice. Mets bullpen has surrendered 3 here in the 7th, and Lee fouls it off 0-2.
And straight away and deep for the power hitting Lee.
Now the 0-2, and it's on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. So Lee is down looking, but the Cubs sent 9 men to the plate in the 7th inning and scored 3. 7th inning stretch time, 6-1 Chicago. Some of the wonderful pictures we've been treated to tonight from our Ultra Mo camera. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and the lefty Sean Marshall comes on to pitch for the Cubs in a 6-1 game.
Well, Marshall will take the team lead in appearances with his 9th, besting John Graybill. Made 9 starts for the Cubbies last season. He's their most, I would say, dominant reliever. He struck out 12 of the 32 batters he's faced.
Ike Davis will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, while Ike Davis may be here, his stuff is not. You know, Monday morning in Buffalo, got the notification about 12:10. He was going to the big leagues, and basically he had an hour to go home, collect his stuff at the ballpark, get some stuff from home, and get to the airport for a flight to get here. And I asked him what he collected. He said, well, 6 shirts and a book. That was it. He did grab his baseball bag and his bag of bats. However, the bats did not make it until the game had just about started on Monday. So he was ready to go up to his first pro plate appearance with David Wright's bat, but his bats came, and obviously he had a couple hits, and he's got another one here. So Ike Davis doesn't have any clothes here, but he's got another base hit. Guys, back to you.
And he has the book. I'm not sure what the book was. You know, Kevin? Any idea?
It's the Dan Brown book. I forget the title of it.
At least he stayed entertained on the trip.
Well, he stays in on left-handers here, and that's the times I've seen him against the lefty. He doesn't pull off. He stays in. Got a hanger there. Nicely done.
Now Rod Barajas, who's accounted for the Mets' only run tonight with his third home run of the year back in the second inning. Barajas is 1 for 2. And Rod takes a strike from Marshall. 0-1. Saw Sean Marshall in the opening game of this series as the Cubs bullpen was melting down and giving up a 5-run 7th inning. He was in the middle of that. Mets hoping to rally again against the Cubs pen. 1-1 to Barajas.
Well, Lou Piniella pinch hit for his starter Carlos Silva in the hopes of blowing the game wide open, and he may rue that decision.
Well, the Cubs bullpen has an ERA so far this year of 6.15. I mean, that doesn't even take into account inherited runners scoring. So, you know, normally your bullpen ERA should be lower than your starter's ERA because it doesn't take into account those inherited runners.
And that's why you take your best starting pitcher of the last 5 seasons and have to put him in the bullpen to try to plug a hole.
You know, when you see Takahashi up in the bullpen, when Lou Piniella was asked about the move of Carlos Zambrano to the bullpen, he had to answer about a dozen different questions, all with the same theme, which was, are you panicking? Is this a panic move? And he kept saying, no, no. But really, when you think about it, after 14 games, as Barajas goes down swinging for the first out of the inning, making a move like that, it certainly smacks of panic.
Well, absolutely. If the bullpen had gotten off to a quicker start, you don't have to make that move. I think what it worked out to also is that Zambrano is the only fit for the bullpen. You know, Gorzolani was pitching tomorrow, of course. Not a traditional left-hander you bring out of the pen.
But you could have moved Gorzolani to the pen and buried him as your long man, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But they don't need a long man. They need a guy at the end of the game that's not going to give up the lead.
There's Pagan, who's 1 for 2. Angels fly deep to center and popped up to third. And takes a strike. So Silva went 6 innings, allowed 1 run and 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a hit batsman, a home run, 86 pitches, and out.
Hard to respond to that, right? You think he'd want to go deeper into the game. I'll just answer this way. We had Al Jackson on earlier, and in his 6 seasons with the Mets, he had 41 complete games.
I believe Al once had a game where he threw 215 pitches. It's before they kept pitch counts. 1-1 to Pagan. Oh, and by the way, Nolan Ryan pitched 25 years in the big leagues.
Yes.
He had games where he threw 180 routinely. So take that for what you will. Fernando Tatis, who had a pinch hit home run last night, is on deck to pinch hit. And Pagan takes a strike. I once saw Nolan pitch a game against the Toronto Blue Jays in 1977 out in Anaheim, matched up against Jerry Garvin. Nolan walked 9, struck out 12.
Wow.
And went the distance.
That had to be around 200 pitches.
You'd have to think so, right? Who knew that was important? 2-2. Curveball hit to left center field and hit well, but Bird gets back in the gap to grab it. Pagan retired for the second out, and Davis back to first. Let's check in with the studio where Gary Apple's standing by to let us know what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, more on the Mets, plus Jason Taylor now officially a member of the Jets, but I'm not buying the fact that he really wants to be here. And Ben Roethlisberger, the hammer drops on him. Should the Steelers trade him? It's all coming up tonight. Fellas, back to you.
All right, thank you, Gary. Here at Citi Field, the Mets down 6-1 in the bottom of the 7th, and Fernando Tatis, who provided a lightning bolt last night with an 8th inning 2-run pinch hit home run. Pinch hits in the 7th inning tonight. against the lefty Sean Marshall. Hit his home run last night off the lefty John Graybo.
I feel like you should have a whistle and white gloves here, Gary, the way you've been directing traffic all night. Nice job. Very busy broadcast, isn't it?
I'm good with the white glove.
That's right.
Popped up in foul ground. Derek Lee coming over. Should have room. And that does it for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th. On to the 8th now at Citi Field. 6-1 Chicago. Sedan. Isanori Takahashi will come on to pitch the 8th inning for New York.
Last time we saw Takahashi was in that 20-inning game. He pitched the 13th and the 14th, striking out 4 in his 2 innings of work.
And that 14th inning, he had 2nd and 3rd and nobody out and struck out 3 to get out of the jam. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been the kind of history that they had on Saturday in St. Louis.
But those are the kind of things that happen in these games. Number 47 always reminds me of J.O., right, Keith? Yes. Jesse Orozco was celebrating his 53rd birthday tonight.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Jesse. Marlon Byrd will lead off for the Cubs in the 8th inning. Up against Takahashi, the 4th Met pitcher of the night. Oliver Perez went the first 5, allowed 3 runs, 2 earned on 8 hits. Manny Acosta, an inning and a third, 3 runs, 2 hits. And Raul Valdez, 2/3 of an inning, no runs and 2 hits. And Byrd attacks the first pitch and hits it out to right, where Francoeur is waiting for the first out. Let's head back to the studio. Chris Carlin standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Thank you. You can make that right turn now, Chris.
That's right.
Here's Aramis Ramirez, who's 0 for 4 tonight, 0 for 12 in this series. Batting average down to 136. And he takes the first pitch strike from Takahashi. Well, the Cubs just trying to survive until Ramirez can get going. Soriano's picked them up tonight. He's had a big night at the plate. 3 for 3, triple home run. Off the end of the bat, and Takahashi off the mound to field it. And that's the second out. I want to pass along our best get well wishes to Brandon Freed, Brandon is a high school lacrosse player at Belmore JFK High School. Took a shot to the head today, suffered a concussion. Going to spend the night in the hospital, but the good news, Brandon's CAT scans came back negative. Brandon is the son of our esteemed statistician Dave Freed, and we wish Brandon and Dave and the whole family all the best as Brandon gets better. Here's Soriano, who lacks just a double for the cycle. He tripled to right center in the 4th, singled to right center in the 5th, and hit a laser beam 2-run homer into the seats in left in the 7th. He's also drawn a walk tonight. 1-1 to Soriano. You notice without Dave here tonight, there are no numbers.
That's right.
The numbers took a night off.
That's all right.
Too many numbers in this game anyway.
I don't know. Every time he throws a number over, it's another guy that's hit 400 off me lifetime. So
that's why we got Carlin to give the numbers on Sandberg against.
Thank you, Chris. Anything 250 and below, he can send ahead.
Well, he found out for myself that I never struck out 4 times in the Candelaria. But he got me 3 times twice.
Oh,
well, thanks.
And how many times did he hit in the elbow?
Not as many as I thought, but they hurt when he hit me.
35-year-old Isadori Takahashi trying to put the top of the 8th to bed. 2-2 to Soriano. Lifts one to right field, and Francoeur is there. And Soriano finally retired. 1-2-3 inning for Takahashi, the first for a Met pitcher tonight. 6-1 Chicago. Comes on to play right as Soriano comes out of the game. Sean Marshall for his second inning relief. Top of the batting order for New York, and Jose Reyes lunges and bounces the first pitch foul. After his 4-hit game last night, Jose tonight has gone 0 for 3.
I know what you're saying, Ron. If down 5 runs in the 8th, that you got to take a strike.
Did he say that?
I didn't say it, but I was thinking it.
I saw your expression.
Yep.
And I'm right with you.
1-1 to Reyes with Castillo and right to follow.
Need base runners somehow, some way. Keep the line moving so you get someone to pop one.
Pulled foul. Well, the Mets have not had a whole lot of offense working so far this year. So on a night when they don't get great pitching, it becomes a little more pronounced. Out to right field. Fukudome playing shallow, sliding, but he can't make the play. And Reyes is safe at first base. Fukudome was playing particularly shallow against Reyes, and that's the only reason he even had a chance for that ball.
Well, nice effort by Fukudome. Just can't quite get there. Jose gets his third bloop in 2 nights. Boy, you got to love that. And there's the Ultramo.
Hit him right under the knee, and you can see the grimace as the ball hit. That's just a great shot. So Reyes aboard to start the last of the 8th with the Mets down by 5. Here's Castillo, who's 0 for 3 tonight. What a difference last night. Reyes and Castillo were a combined 6 for 9. Up until that hit by Reyes, they were 0 for 6. And Louis hits one right center toward the gap, and Fukudome won't get there. It goes to the wall. Reyes sprinting for third. He'll score easily. Castillo around second and heading for third, and he's in safely with a triple and a run batted in. It's now 6-2 Chicago. First triple of the year for Luis Castillo.
Well, Fukudome gets caught right here with a 5-run lead. Why would you want to play shallow? You want to play a little bit deeper, no doubles, and he gets smoked there. Let's watch Reyes. Let's see if he's got the stamina here going first to home. Concerned about those legs. Louis has that kind of gallop, doesn't he?
That's a consequence of having one leg longer than the other. So he's kind of side saddle when he runs, but he can still get around.
Well, there you see, he missed on the one on the inside corner and on the outer half.
David Wright takes up and away, and it's 1-1. Only the second extra base hit of the season for Castillo. He now has an 8-game hitting streak. And now the Mets within 4 with their 3, 4, and 5 hitters, all struggling right now, looking to get something going. Wright is 0 for 1. Also been hit by a pitch and walked. And David lines one into center field for a base hit. That chases home Castillo, and now it's 6-3. 3 straight hits to start the 8th inning, and the Mets are within 3 runs.
Right down Broadway. Here's the Ultramo right here, and just a little beat, but look how he stayed level and came in with that top hand. And the Cub bullpen just continues to struggle, and Lou's seen enough.
Lou's probably thinking, you sure Zambrano can't be ready tonight? Dustin Berg, the closest to you. Carlos Marmol, the closer, on the far side. Would they bring in Marmol for a 6-out save? Lou's given his bullpen as much time as he can with that excruciatingly slow walk, and that's without the Ultramo camera. that's the real camera. Well, Lou's waiting for the umpire to come along. He didn't even know where to find him. And finally, Jeff Kellogg comes over to ask for a decision.
He said Marmol? I thought I read his lips.
Well, if it's Marmol, he'll be coming on to try and get a 6-out save, something you don't often see this early in the year. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. He brings in 25-year-old Justin Berg to try and get him through the 8th inning.
And probably because he had a nice night on Monday night against the Mets. A 1-2-3 inning of work.
3 straight hits for the Mets to start the 8th inning. Reyes a bloop single. Castillo driving a triple to get Reyes in. And then David Wright singling to center to drive in Castillo to make it 6-3 Chicago. Mets need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. Jason Bay 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. And he takes the first pitch fastball high from Bird. Well, Sean Marshall had himself a fairly easy 7th, but running into big trouble in the 8th. The Cub bullpen continues to give back leads. And Bay pulls one down to third. It comes up on Ramirez. He recovers and throws out Bay. Now that's an easy double play if that ball doesn't come up on Ramirez. But he stayed with it and got the out at first.
Well, tough pop for Ramirez. He did everything right. He's in front of the ball, and it came up.
And hit him in the face or the shoulder.
Oh, boy. Might have got him.
Looks like it got him on the chin. Running right up the wrist, arm, neck. Right there in the neck.
Collarbone, yeah.
You know, he had that one against Francoeur yesterday's ball game.
So now right at second with one out. Here's Francoeur. And he grounds one to short. Right trying to advance. He'll go as Terrio throws out Francoeur for the second out.
Well, I know that Terrio was playing. You know, we got to lead, get the guy at first, but he had David dead to rights.
Not a good base running play by David Wright, but he got away with it. Francoeur continues to struggle now 0 for 22.
He had him. He could have done it easily. Keep the runner out of scoring position.
Well, now with the left-hand hitter Ike Davis coming up, Lou's making the slow walk again. He's got John Graybo up in the bullpen. Graybo, who gave up the home run to Tatis last night, has not been warming long. And the Cub bullpen inquisitive as to whether Lou's going to make the change.
Yes, he is.
He will. So Graybo will come on to face Ike Davis. The Mets with 2 runs home in the 8th, down 6-3. We'll be right back. Back from a rough night last night. He comes in to face Ike Davis with 2 out, and Ike dribbles one foul.
It was Graybo who gave up that home run, 2-run home run to Fernando Tatis.
Davis tonight 1 for 3, single to right his last time up. Mets have 2 runs home in the 8th. Justin Berg gave up a couple of hard ground balls to get 2 outs, and now Graybo trying to finish off the inning and set it up for Carlos Marmol with Wright at third and 2 out. And Davis lunges and fouls back the breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Ike had a base hit against a left-hander his first night against Sean Marshall. But now he finds himself in an 0-2 hole. Mets will face a lefty tomorrow in Tom Gorzelani, and we're assuming that Ike will get the start. Terry Manuel had said that Davis was going to play every day. Pedro Feliciano in the Mets bullpen, and Davis goes down swinging. 3 pitches from Graybo, and he gets the rookie Ike Davis. Mets get 2, but no closer. On to the 9th we go with the Cubs up 6-3 at Citi. Coming off a tremendous effort Saturday against the Cardinals. Struggled the first couple of innings, but really found himself after that and wound up throwing 7 scoreless. Tom Gorzelani, who got hit on the shoulder by a line drive in his last start, will pitch tomorrow for the Cubs.
He said he had a little bit of kind of mild soreness, but nothing that affected his pitching.
Giovanni Soto's been on base 4 straight times, 2 singles, 2 walks. He's driven in a run and scored a run tonight. So he's 2 for 2. And Takahashi misses away 2-0. Takahashi pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning. Took him just 8 pitches to get through. Left-hand hitter Tyler Colvin on deck, and then the pitcher spot. And the off-speed pitch for a strike. 2-1. And Soto swings and misses another changeup, and it's 2-2.
Well, Takahashi has a good one. He's got all that motion, that pause, and then the ball never gets there. There's the nice grip by Takahashi, and turns that ball over too.
Little fade.
And he says, I spoke to him last week about it. He said he throws that ball straight, and it just naturally tails for him like a screwball.
Oh, that's a good thing for him.
Yeah. He calls it a sinker, but I guess that's lost in the translation.
That's
because he certainly holds it like a changeup. 3-2 to Soto, and it's outside ball 4, so a leadoff walk puts Soto aboard for the 5th straight time. Let's check in with the studio, Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, to see what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury postgame live. All right, guys, it's been nice chatting with you all night tonight. Tyler Colvin comes up with a man on in the ninth, looking to add to the Cubs 6-3 lead. Colvin had a big blow in the 3-run 7th inning for the Cubs, a double against Raul Valdez. And he takes a fastball strike from Takahashi. Coy Hill has come out on deck to pinch hit, but Carlos Zambrano may have a mind about hitting as well because he's got his batting helmet on.
Well, once they stick him on that pen, those days are over.
Bunted past Takahashi, and it's a bunt hit for Colvin. So Colvin putting down the bunt hard enough to get it past Takahashi for his second hit of the night.
Perfect bunt against a left-hander because they're following through towards the third base side. Actually, he's straight in. He just overcharged it. That's perfect. Nothing you can do there.
So the first two men on for the Cubs, who now have 13 hits in the game. Now Zambrano thought he might get to hit. See, they would have brought him in if it weren't a bunting situation because he's a swinger. He's a home run hitter.
Remember, it's Coy Hill in last night's ball game that bunted that ball to Igarashi that caused that hamstring problem. Got him a base hit.
And to add insult to injury, they charged an error to Igarashi.
Thanks for correcting me.
It should have been a base hit, I think. I know Keith felt differently.
I did.
We've had a lot of controversy in here tonight.
That's good.
They look for the bunt, and Hill, the switch hitter, lays off. Barajas telling Takahashi to settle down. And Hill takes low and in, 2-0.
Got to throw a strike there. You want them to bunt. Takahashi knows that. But this is the one instance, Gary, where you're thinking third base. You got to try to get that out, that lead runner with this 3-run lead. You cannot afford to give up any more runs.
And you've got a shot at that because you've got a slow runner at second base with Giovanni Soto. Bunted beautifully by Hill. Takahashi will have a tough time getting him. Gets the out at first base, but a beautiful sacrifice by Hill moves the runners to second and third. 1-4 on the sacrifice.
You can't draw it up any better than Hill. His last two bunts in these last two games. See where the bat is? It's out in front. Anytime you get the bat in fair territory, that means the ball's going to be in fair territory. It's like that knob of the bat right at the second baseman, gets that angle and deadens the ball off the end of the bat. Just textbook, Coy.
So now the Mets bring the infield in to face Ryan Terrier, who has base hits his last 3 at bats. 3 for 5 on the night. Reyes doesn't have to play too far in with the slow runner at third. And a pitch out. Mets looking for a squeeze play. 1-0 to Terrier. Can't think of too many teams who squeeze with second and third.
Yes. And a lead.
Yeah.
They're leading by 3 runs. Go for the jugular.
Soto at third and Colvin at second with 1 out. And again, Takahashi falls behind 2-0 as he did against Hill. Jeff Baker waiting on deck. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have the lower third coming up. Barajas, Pagan, and the pitcher spot. Perhaps a save chance for Carlos Marmol, but only if the Cubs don't score.
Well, the way the Cubbies are going, they need to just add runs. They're not thinking about any kind of save opportunities. They'll do anything just to get a win.
2-0 to Terrier. And a pitch out again.
They're going to walk him.
How about that?
Well, I guess they're trying to get to Baker, who they'll double play situation.
Load the bases.
Then why don't they just walk him? Which is what they're going to do now. Intentional ball 4 upcoming. So Terrio is on base. 3 hits and a walk for Terrio tonight. Second walk of the inning for Takahashi, and that is now 8 walks for Met pitching tonight. And we've talked a lot about how well the Met pitchers have done recently, and yet the Met pitching staff again through the early part of the season leads the league in walks.
Not a good sign.
Well, especially since that was such a point of emphasis during spring training this year, after they issued the second most walks in the league last year. That is 76 walks now in 143 innings, and that's just far too many. Bases loaded, 1 out, and now Baker takes a fastball low for ball 1. Baker's 1 for 5 tonight, single back in the 3rd inning. The Cubs with 6 runs and 13 hits. The Mets 3 runs, 6 hits. Soto at 3rd, Colvin at 2nd, and Terrio the runner at 1st. 1-1 to Baker.
Baker's had some good cuts tonight, hasn't he?
He doesn't get cheated. He lets it rip.
Derek Lee would be next, and there's Carlos Marmol getting set for his bottom of the 9th assignment. Blew his last save opportunity against the Astros over the weekend. 1-1, and Baker swings and misses at the changeup. 1-2.
Well, you see that circle change that comes out of the hand of Takahashi. Even though it's up in the strike zone, it is away, and he's taken enough off the pitch.
So now he's ahead 1-2. And Baker rolls one down to 3rd. Wright's going to come home with it, gets the force there, and that's all. If the ball had been hit harder, David might have taken it to the bag and tried for a double play, but it's slowly enough. He had to come home to get Soto for the 2nd out.
Well, nicely done there by Dave. He throws a little sidearm there so you get that little bend in the ball around the runner.
That was the right choice by David. No chance.
Look at the 2 hands right there. Beautiful exchange or transfer, whatever you want to call it. Come on, he threw it harder than that, didn't he?
Even with Ultra Mo, the ball is going to beat him. Ball 1 to Derek Lee. Well, the box score is going to say tomorrow that David made an error, and you're going to say he had a bad defensive game. But A, it was a questionable error, and B, he's had a very good defensive night.
Outstanding. Still wasn't an error. I don't care. Call whatever you want.
Terrio doesn't think so either. He'd have a 4-hit game.
That's right.
2-0 to Lee now with the bases loaded. So Takahashi continually falling behind the hitters here in the 9th. Lee tonight 1 for 5 and has struck out in his last 2 at bats, and he's in a great position here. 2-0 with the bases loaded. And it's up and away with a changeup, and now Takahashi in danger of forcing in a run.
Look at the eyes of David here.
I guess he didn't look it into his glove. 3-0 to Derek Lee. And he walked him to force in a run. So Takahashi issues his 3rd walk of the inning. It brings home Tyler Colvin and makes it 7-3 Chicago. So it's been a rough night for the Mets bullpen. Manny Acosta in his Mets debut gave up 3 runs in an inning and a 3rd. Raul Valdez gave up 2 hits and a walk in 2/3 of an inning. And now Takahashi, after a good 8th, having trouble throwing strikes in the 9th. Now Marlon Byrd with the bases loaded and 2 out. Byrd is 1 for 3 with a walk and a sacrifice fly. And the curveball in for a strike, 0-1.
This will be an interesting test for Takahashi. Good curveball there, but Marlon Byrd's a good changeup hitter. Feasts on those left-handed changeups.
This building is emptied. This is as sparse a gathering now as we've seen since this place opened last year.
It's like old Candlestick Park and those Late 70s at Shea.
And you know what happens when you have these small crowds? You can hear everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in this intimate ballpark where all the fans are so close to the field. One and one to Marlon Byrd. And he got the fastball in on him, 1-2. Ramos Ramirez, who's had another rough night at the plate, waiting on deck. Takahashi ahead 1-2. And he misses away. 2-2. So Byrd hanging in there. Well, Takahashi threw just 8 pitches in the 8th inning. He's already thrown 27 here in the 9th.
Are you hanging in there too, Gare?
I'm still here.
He spent many a night in this area in Shea Stadium watching similar games, I'm sure, to the end.
2-2. Lifted to right field. On comes Frank Core, but he'll have to play it on a hop. 1 run is in. The throw goes to second, and back safely there is Lee. 2-run score, and the Cubs have broken it open. It's 9-3 Chicago. A 2-run single for Marlon Byrd. He has a 3 RBI night.
Well, I believe it's a changeup on the overhead cam here.
That's your Pittsburgh Paints overhead cam.
Oh, it was a fastball in. He just kind of fisted it out there.
You know, with those 20 home runs last year, Frank Core's got to play him honest in right field, and end result, a couple RBIs. 13 on the season now for Byrd.
Here's Ramos Ramirez taking a changeup for a strike. Ramirez 0 for 13 in this series, including his 0 for 5 tonight. Well, 3 walks by Takahashi here in the 9th, and 3 runs have scored, and Henry Mejia is going to start to loosen. 0-2 to Ramirez. Kosuke Fukudome, who came on for defense in the 8th inning, now on deck. Takahashi ahead in the count now on Ramirez, trying to put an end to an ugly inning. And the curveball in the dirt stopped by Barajas, 1-2. Well, Oliver Perez is the pitcher of record in this game for the Mets. Ollie allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned over 5 innings, but the bullpen has been touched for 6 runs. 3 in the 7th and now 3 here in the 9th. And the Cubs have pulled away. 1-2. Struck him out with a changeup. That finally ends the inning, but the Cubs add 3 and take a 9-3 lead into the bottom of the 9th. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Subway, eat fresh. And by Ford, check out the best-selling vehicles in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today. Carlos Marmol, non-save situation, comes in with a 6-run lead in the ninth.
We made 79 relief appearances for the Cubbies last season and got that closer role from Kevin Gregg on August 18th. Went 13 for 13 from that point forward.
Loves his slider, Ronnie.
Well, loves his slider.
Ron Barajas homered for the first Met run back in the second inning, his 3rd home run of the year. Ball one from Marmol, who last year in 74 innings walked 65 batters.
I honestly would, every at-bat by everyone that comes to the plate, you have to take a strike.
Oh, I mean, we've seen this from him before. He can be devastating when he's on with his control, but he has days when he just can't throw a strike at all.
Well, he's already talking to himself.
It's a bad sign.
Well, when you got a 6-run lead, it's a bad sign.
Lay him down the couch.
Of course, with those 74 innings, 65 walks, 74 innings, 93 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's got the counter to those walks.
So Marmol working to Barajas, and he misses high with a fastball, 3-1. Barajas has not yet drawn a walk as a New York Met. 48 at bats into the season. Could be seeing some history here. History Lou Piniella would shudder at. With Angel Pagan on deck. And Barajas swung at ball 4. Now it's 3-2. He just can't bring himself to walk, can he?
Well, that was a hard one. I mean, we're saying that it's kind of pigeonhole this one, but it had a little cut on it, about 94 miles an hour. He just gave slider, did he?
He did. And Barajas popped it up to short, where Terrio waits. And that's the first out here in the last of the ninth.
Rod's mad at himself. He knows that the 3-1 pitch was ball 4, but easy up here. Hard down there when the guy's throwing 94.
So 1 out now. Pagan, who's 0 for 3 tonight. 2 for 10 in this series, and continues the ongoing conversation with his buddy Soto. And Angel takes high for ball 1. Frank Catalanato has come out on deck to pinch hit. There's Frank, who was talking with Kevin Burkhardt about the difficult art of pinch hitting before the game tonight. 1-1 to Pagan.
He was mentioning or alluding to that book that he has on all the hitters, and I'm hoping that Kevin can get Frank to let us take a look at that thing by the end of the year.
Never got Delgado to open his book. Perhaps better success with Catalanato. 2-1 now to Pagan. Carlos Silva started this game for the Cubs, went 6 tremendous innings, allowed a run on 2 hits. Barajas is still upset with himself. Hit the home run off Silva, but not able to get on here in the ninth. And now it's 3-1 to Pagan. And Marmol continues to tease. Teasing him more than anybody. Well, when you hand the ball as a closer to a guy who walks nearly a batter an inning, you can't expect much else. What was it that Earl Weaver called Don Stanhouse? Called him full pack. He went through a full pack of cigarettes watching him pitch an inning.
Right.
Pagan draws a 1-out walk. So Marmol about at his average with a walk per inning. And Catalanato will bat with a man on. Frank 2 for 13 as an almost exclusive pinch hitter. He had the one game he batted cleanup for the Mets on Sunday night. First time in his career he had ever batted cleanup, right before Ike Davis was called up. And Frank will be patient here. Nope, I guess not. First pitch slider and he swings over it. Well, he said you go up there aggressive, but you figure this is one of those situations where you don't.
No, I think that Marmol is such an unusual pitcher. You almost have to make him throw you a strike. The problem is that his slider is so devastating. Once he gets ahead of you, it's really hard to lay off. It's very much like Brad Lidge when you're facing Lidge. It's hard to take a pitch because if he gets ahead of you, you're done.
Well, now he's ahead on Catalanato 0-2 with Reyes on deck. And he struck him out on 3 sliders. So that's the second out of the inning. And Marmol has his first strikeout. So the Mets are down to their last out of the night.
Not a strike, but it's a late fighter, and Frank out in front. Swung at the first pitch, which was pretty much similar, down and in, a bad pitch, and he dropped a 0-1 backdoor on him, pretty nasty.
Yeah. Reyes blooped a single to right, leading off in the 8th, and scored a run. Mets got 2 in the 8th to cut the lead to 3, but then the Mets bullpen gave back 3 more in the 9th. So Reyes 1 for 4 tonight after his 4-hit game last night. Johan Santana tomorrow night in the final game of the series. Pagan runs and Reyes knocks the mask right off Giovanni Soto. 1-1.
Ooh.
Ouch. Pagan runs again. He takes second on defensive indifference on ball 2 to Reyes. Two and 1 to Jose. And that's on the inside corner with the slider. It's 2-2. And so the Mets are down to their last strike. Marmol trying to put a wrap on the evening. And the Cubs that close to snapping a 4-game losing streak. Reyes pops one up. Long run toward the line from Baker. And he tracks it down to end the ball game. And the Cubs have taken a game in this series for the first time as they snap a 4-game losing streak, overwhelming the Mets 9-3.
Well, not a very good game to watch there. A lot of sloppy play, but in between that, Silva was outstanding for the Cubs. 6 innings pitched, only a couple of hits, 1 run. That 1 run was the Barajas home run, but lots of offensive stars for the Cubs. Soriano the biggest.
You got that right, Ron. Terrio 3 for 5 also. So the Cubbies come back tomorrow. The Mets try to get 3 out of 4.
Barajas with a home run, the offensive highlight for the Mets. Oliver Perez, not terrible. The bullpen, though, gave up 6 in their 3 innings of work, and the Cubs win it 9-3. So the Mets have taken 2 of the first 3 in the series. They'll try and win their first series of the year tomorrow night with Johan Santana on the mound. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen. Time to send it to the studio for Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda.